You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Look at Everbank Stadium as they put the paint down. Or they're still putting paint down, it looks like, if my eyes are correct, here on this Thursday, a few days before the Jags' big game against Indianapolis, with so many festivities going on. And hopefully the festivities include a W there at the bank. Brent Martineau, along with Austen Lane out in Vegas, and Jason Hamby on a Thursday, is a fun show lined up for you as we are live at Best Bet St. Augustine as well before the doors even open. Doors never close where Austin is, but it's bright and early there, right in that beautiful hotel room. You've never looked better from Vegas, actually. You just keep increasingly getting better and better.
Yeah, man, we'll go ahead and blame the lighting on that one. Shout out to the Palms Casino for having some pretty bright lighting to wake me up at 7 o'clock in the morning. But no, it's a pretty cool setup in here. I have to be here for it's like 2-something weeks, so
yeah,
it's gonna have to work, man. But thankfully it is. Don't tell anybody, but I had to go out and buy a microwave because apparently on the Strip it's illegal to own microwaves, or it's illegal to have microwaves in the hotels. So had to change that up, Brent, because me, gotta have my food warm.
Wow, really? All right, so give me a little bit. Did you ask the why question? Like, why is that a thing? Are they afraid? Is a microwave circuit going to blow out the whole lighting of the Strip?
It has some, I think it's like something to do with this. I don't know. It's something to do with food. I have no idea. I could probably Google it, man, but it's Las Vegas. There's a lot of weird things here. So I didn't really look too much into it. I just went to Walmart and bought the cheapest microwave that they had, and yeah, so we're all good.
Don't think I've ever done that. On a road trip, you're like, I forgot my toothbrush or toothpaste, or I forgot I need some more shaving cream, or whatever it might be. I don't think I've ever gone to the store while on a vacation, or while on a trip, and said, I got to go get myself a microwave.
Thankfully, and surprisingly, they're not that expensive anymore. I don't think okay.
Oh, really?
Here comes $200. No, man. I mean, I found one for $40 at Walmart, and it's
really
job, so
that's actually a good call. I would never even know what the pricing was. I couldn't have guessed. If this was the Price is Right, I think I probably would have overshot the price.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. How far are you from where you're working out and everything else? I know you had to do some medical stuff yesterday, but where are you going every day?
So from the PI, I'm about. Depending, because it's traffic, right? Because I'm right on the Strip, so traffic can play a factor. If it's super early in the morning, probably 15 minutes away, but take into account traffic and people probably coming back from the clubs and everything, because the city doesn't sleep. It's probably 30 minutes or so, and probably the same from where I do my sparring and stuff at as well. In terms of mileage, it's maybe 6 or 7 miles, but you just have to take into account that's Vegas Strip traffic, if you will.
Yeah, I got you. Well, you've got good news to talk about today. Your Brewers have forced a Game 3, so that's fun.
Man, yeah, it was quite the mental gymnastics last night for me because obviously I was watching the game and they go down right away. There was a costly error with Rhys Hoskins at first base. And I'm like, man, because this team is known for not getting out of the first round, Brent. I think they've got out of the first round, and I want to say they're 0-8 or 0-9 in their last wild card, series and everything. So they're kind of turned into a curse a little bit. So once that happened, that error happened, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to the weight room in the hotel, do some yoga, and just relax because it's stressing me out. And then I kind of kept flipping back and forth, and Brewers can hit the ball, and then lo and behold, Jackson, Churio comes up to the plate, 20 years old, and starts the show, man. And it's been, and obviously I know our listeners haven't really followed the Brewers at all, but it's been an interesting season for Jackson, man. Obviously he got called up at the right time. He came in right away, got off to a little bit of a slow start, had some errors, some costly errors in the outfield that people were giving him crap for. And all that Pat Murphy said and company said is just give this kid time, he's 20 years old. He's the youngest player in baseball. Just give him time and he'll come around, and I think a lot of fans maybe were impatient a little bit just because he was highly touted. But lo and behold, man, I think since the All-Star break, and I think it was slugging percentage, Since the All-Star break, Ohtani's been first, obviously, with that, but he's third right now in the entire MLB in slugging. So, yeah, shout out to the Brewers, man, making it exciting, and going to have a Game 3 tonight.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that because all the other ones are sweeps, and the Orioles lost. Obviously, the huge one here is the Houston Astros, because getting them out of the playoffs is huge for everybody, including the Yankees. And I think the Orioles getting them out for the Yankees is a big deal. So how about the AL Central? Now you have 3 teams from the AL Central. That's just nuts. And by the way, they almost had a 4th. Minnesota actually collapsed down the stretch of the season. Now, they wouldn't have had all 4, but Minnesota was in the mix more than anybody else. I think they were the last team out. So that AL Central, oddly enough, in a weird year in the AL, was right there. But I love the Padres right now too, and I know Hamby doesn't because they just beat the Braves. But Hamby, you run into a buzzsaw, man. First of all, you gotta go out west, and then on top of it, the Padres are just hot, and they're a fun team. I got a chance to go there this summer. I actually should have my shirt on right now, but when I get back in studio, I might start wearing the San Diego shirt that's in the studio. But I was actually the one thing about San Diego, first of all, they do have a good baseball team, right? But everybody's like, well, they got rid of Soto. Now they're not going to be as good. Well, it's actually made them in many respects even better because of the people they got back in that trade. Both teams are winning, the Yankees and the Padres in that trade. Michael King was awesome the other night. That's one of the guys they got. But what struck me about San Diego, a team or a city that lost its football team, man, they were Padres full go. And I get it. It's their only thing. I mean, they've got some soccer as well there in San Diego, but they are all in on the Padres there this summer. They had come back from a road trip. I was like, oh, this won't be a hard ticket to get. It was a hard ticket to get for a middle of June game. For a Padres team, I think at the time that was a little bit underachieving. And you can tell last night it's a fun place to be. It's a fun place to watch a game. Underrated. Obviously, the ballpark's fantastic. And they've got a heck of a team, Hamby. You just ran into one there.
Yeah, and if it's one thing that you want to just compliment the fan base just because you saw one video of the whole stadium singing along to a Blink-182 song because Tom DeLonge is there, so that's cool, I guess. But really, I mean, any advantage, any advantage the Braves gained in not having to take the big break was lost in the fact that we clinched late Monday night, so let's have our champagne party. And let's have a few too many, and then let's fly to San Diego from Atlanta, get in at 1 or 2 in the morning on Tuesday, and then we're playing a couple hours later and we're getting shut out. So that's really awesome also. And what else is really awesome? We bring up a guy in Game 1 of the series who hasn't pitched in the big leagues this year, and I think I got all the confidence in the world he's going to be good going forward, but literally hadn't pitched an inning in the big leagues this year. And hey, here's Game 1, here's the baseball, and he gets shelled, so that's really cool. And then let me think of one more thing. I guess the kicker was, look, our season's on the line. How great of a thing it is when your season's on the brink, and who are you sending up to the Jorge Soler, Ramon Laureano, and Gio Urshela. And, man, what a load of confidence I had that we could get a run in the ninth. What a joke.
What a joke. I'm so mad. I like it. I saw that tweet by you. I was like, well, you never know. You gotta make something happen here. But anyway, the Padres are good. Guys, one last thing about this before we move on back to football, which we always do here, live from Best Bet St. Augustine to the Jacksonville Action Sports Jacks 24/7 studios and Las Vegas at the Palms. We're all over the place today. But I love this, okay? Listen, I'm a Red Sox guy. Red Sox are one of the big teams in Major League Baseball, from Cubs to Dodgers to Yankees to, just one of the big teams. Mets. But I love the fact I'm a new blood kind of guy when it comes to sports, right? And I love the Padres being in it. I love the Brewers. I know the Brewers have been here now for a few years, but if they can make a little run, which they have in Austin, right? They've struggled in the postseason. Sure. I love the Royals, man, out of nowhere. What a fun team. Bobby Witt. Unbelievable player. The Tigers, talking about out of nowhere, 31-13 in their last, whatever that game is, 44.
They're the hottest team right now in baseball, and they're kind of an anomaly because they don't really do anything that well, but they're not there's no weaknesses with them.
And how about AJ Hinch too? I mean, that guy's a good manager. We were talking about this in the sports office. Wouldn't it be something if they find out that he's cheating again in Detroit? and he did it to beat Houston. Now that would be something. But no, I mean, I'm just kidding there. But anyway, I like that. And I don't think that's going to be super appealing for the masses, right? I think you're going to have to get Yankees, Dodgers, and all the rest. And probably for baseball to have Ohtani in the World Series would be very good. Let's not lie. Yankees in the World Series would not be a bad thing. Judge, Ohtani, that's monstrous. But I also do like this part of it. I think the Yankees are susceptible. I think the Dodgers are susceptible. I think that's what you love about baseball. And the thing about it is you've got those monster guys with Judge and Ohtani right now and these monster names across their jersey that everybody knows, traditional powerhouses. But you also have these fantastic young players. You mentioned Churio. I mentioned Witt. I mean, these guys are like 20, 21. They've got such a good influx of youth in Major League Baseball right now that now seeing these guys on the big stage, I think people are going to get used to these guys. We got introduced to, what's his name from Tampa, had the big postseason, then got traded this year. Fun guy, left field. Yeah, Randy... Arozarena. Oh, gosh, I was blanking on his name. But remember, like years ago, it was Andrew Jones, right? Like for the Braves, way back when. And you get introduced to these young players, and I think that's it with Churio right now. And if people haven't seen Bobby Witt play, they're going to really watch him play here over the next week or so, and he's a phenomenal player. So, and that's just a couple of guys. But I like that about the playoffs right now in Major League Baseball. You got your Giants. Literal giants in terms of stature of players, too. And then you've got your young bucks and these teams that are kind of sleepers that aren't your familiar names. I think it sets up pretty nice for if you like baseball, for a pretty cool postseason.
Brent, let me ask you this, and I put this in the group chat. Well, I put it to you. I'm not sure. I didn't know Hamby was doing the show today, so my bad, Hamby, for excluding you. But Brandon Gomes, GM of the Dodgers, was kind of cryptic a little bit and kind of, didn't want to spill everything, but said there might be a slight chance that Ohtani could pitch in these playoffs. Do you think that that's a good idea or not? I mean, obviously, no one's seen him pitch this year, so no one has any idea of what he's capable of. Obviously, when he has pitched, he's had a lot of success. Do you think that they fire up Ohtani, at least maybe in some kind of like reliever role or a closer role even?
Yeah, I would suspect that's what it would come in, right? Not from a starting standpoint. And they've been banged up in their rotation. They've got an aging rotation at times. Like, they're an interesting rotation, even though they've got a bunch of names on their squad. I would suspect it would be something like that, right? Like if you just need him in a pinch. But how risky is that? You haven't seen the guy throw. First of all, you probably don't want him to throw. Like, you want him to get to another offseason, Hamby. You're a guy that used to pitch, right? Like, why not continue to get to an offseason? But you also appreciate a guy like Ohtani that probably wants to be in that moment, right? And wants to deliver in that moment. But I would say no, also. I would say I think like small chance. This is like bringing, I can't remember the playoffs. That's like bringing a guy back after no day's rest, in my opinion, which has happened like once or twice. Somebody's been able to do it, and it's like really risky, but it's like, so what? Here we are to go win it. And you appreciate that. I do appreciate the idea of it. I think with this guy, $700 million investment, I don't see it, Hamby.
I mean, for me, it all depends on how much he's thrown in the last couple months. Like, if he's been doing bullpen side sessions and working inter squad stuff pregame and stuff like that, then I'd be more comfortable with it. If not, then it's an absolute no. And like you said, Brent said, it's a $700 million investment that you have for a bajillion years. But at the same time, the Dodgers cannot win a championship. They have not been able to win championships. And the pressure is higher than ever for them to win one. It's more than the Phillies. It's even more than the Yankees, I would argue. So if you're in a Game 6, Game 7 elimination game and you've had a bullpen game the day before and you're really stretched thin, if I'm Dave Roberts and he's been throwing, I'm putting him on the hill.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, right? I mean, it's not about the money, right? It's about what team's playing the hottest. The Tigers have shown that. I mean, they essentially shelved Josh Hader, and Josh Hader was making more than that entire Detroit Tigers playoff roster.
Unbelievable.
Crazy. By the way, Josh Hader, great to see you, man. But Milwaukee doesn't really miss you that much because we have Williams now, but it is what it is. But no, I mean, that's the thing, Hamby. Like, we talk about payroll and how much players are making. It's like, I mean, listen, maybe the Dodgers pitching is going to be okay. Maybe they're going to dominate with their hitting and they don't have to worry about using Ohtani. But if you get in a tight pinch where it's a close game where the season's on the line, I wonder if they do go to him just because look at how much money you're investing. Do you want to see a little more return on the investment? Not to say he hasn't been an MVP because he's the MVP, but when it's the playoffs, man, it's different. And I feel like it's almost all hands on deck where you got to do whatever's necessary to win a ball game sometimes.
Yeah, be interesting to see. Listen, fun playoffs right now. Good luck to the Brewers tonight. Obviously, we know there's a lot of Mets fans around here, too. They'll be rooting against that series. But it should be fun postseason. 15 minutes of baseball to start the show here on a Thursday, live from Best Bet St. Augustine. That's how bad the Jags are right now. It's 0-4. That's where we go. That's how we go. But, hey, I want to get your reaction to the locker room yesterday. And if you heard anything out of it, or at least some of the comments from Trevor and Doug and everything else. And we joked yesterday, actually, when Doug said it, right? Like, what's he going to do? Say, yeah, I've lost the locker room? Nobody's going to sit there in front of a microphone and say they've lost the locker room. But I do think there's some pretty profound sound from Trevor, very adamant, almost angry, 100% false from Christian Kirk. Not true, very short and to the point from Evan Engram. I thought it was pretty loud in their statements, Austin. I don't know if you read into that. Do you believe it? Are they hiding it, masking it? What are your feelings coming off what you heard?
I mean, to me, it's being a professional, and it's being a pro. I'm trying to recall any time where it was bad in a locker room where a player actually came out and said, yeah, this coach has actually lost the locker room and it's a nightmare. Players don't do that, man, because they're businessmen as well. And you have to protect, your brand and your business. So, I'm not surprised by the comments. Now, is it 100% true? Take that for how you want. I still think that there is a little bit of a disconnect, whether it's with coaches with Ryan Nielsen and Doug Peterson, whether it's with Doug Peterson and players. I don't buy into the narrative that everything's 100% in there. I think there is some sort of disconnect. And look no further than the performances on the field. Look no further than a team right now that is 0-4 and has zero identity in offense, when that was one of the biggest stories of the offseason. So, yeah, I get it. Trevor's being a good leader there and saying everything's great. Evan Engram, Christian Kirk, that's what you're supposed to do. But I still think there's at least something going on because, the performance on the field is saying so.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It's kind of like I'll take these guys at their word, and it was a good locker room. Again, I like being able to go in there and see kind of what they're feeling, what they're thinking, all these things. I don't think it's a law. It doesn't look like a lost locker room to me. I'll continue to say that, but we also don't know what that actually looks like in the feel of it unless you're in there. You can judge it from a locker room. You can judge it from play. That's obviously the one that you really have to judge from. But also what we don't see is what do things look like in a meeting room, right? What do we think? What does it look like in a practice, in a huddle? Are these guys tuning you out? Are they listening? Is it one ear right out the other ear? Those little small things are what kind of builds and creates disconnect in any walk of life, in any business, in a marriage or a football team, right? So, these are just real things that are hard to compute. It's not a scoreboard that we get to look up at. But the bottom line is the way to answer this is actually the scoreboard. The way to get away from this conversation, the way to mute this conversation is to win a football game. And I think we're pretty adamant about that. I think to their credit, I think they're pretty adamant about that too, Austin. They know that. They're not fools. They've been around the league. They're a veteran group. They know we better start winning or this is only going to get worse.
Yeah, and we know how this goes, right? There's been a few reports now from, I don't know how legit you want to call them, but they have a lot of Twitter followers, as you allude to. So maybe there's something to it. But, there have been a few reports saying that some players feel like the locker room has been lost. And it's wild. I was watching the post-game recap last night of baseball, and the Scott Van Pelt show comes on, and one of the leading stories was the Jaguars, and has Doug Peterson lost the locker room. So now this has become kind of a national narrative. It was never about who's calling the plays in the offseason, but you have the only winless team now in the NFL, and now all of a sudden everyone's taking out their, magnifying glass and seeing what's going on in Jacksonville, and trying to pile on and everything. So I agree with you when you say that we don't have the privilege to being in that locker room every single day, Brent, seeing behind the scenes, seeing all the practice. Who knows? Maybe there's tons of corporate synergy. Maybe Doug Peterson's doing trust balls in the meeting rooms and they're all catching everybody and they're all on the same page. That could very well be happening. And maybe, the reports and the rumors and all this stuff, it's wrong. But all we have to go off of is what we see on the field and what we hear in press conferences. And those two things, I feel like, haven't been up to par. So that's what I base my claim on, that, there is some sort of disconnect in that locker room. And that's what I think a lot of, experts, I don't have the connections to talk to players like some other people do with a lot of Twitter followers, but I'm just basing this off of what I've seen on the field and what I've seen on press conferences.
FSU Jag, sorry about your September, by the way. I really don't believe the locker room is lost. Says I think people just like to speculate what's wrong. I think these guys are just at a mental block and aggravated. I think there's a part of that, right? We're trying to find out what's wrong too. And I almost think I was saying that to somebody yesterday. It's like we're trying, everybody's asking why, right? The why, what's wrong? How do you fix it? Which really, I think gets lost in this whole question that I asked Doug on Sunday with all the fallout from that. And Austin, really at the end of the day, that's what my question was about. Is how do you find an answer to it? The why, how do you fix it? And I could have simply, of course, play calling had been kind of that mounting thing. And there was evidence that Doug said what he said a couple years ago. But I've said to people this week, I was I could have simply said, hey, couldn't you move practice back to Episcopal for a couple of days, right? Or can you move practice to 5:00 at night? That was the intent of the question in this time frame. That's what I've been trying to say this week. It's it's a two-pronged thing when it comes to that question. It was, okay, there's a lot of history involved in this topic, but this one was more about jumpstart this thing. How do you get it going? Mix it up. We're trying to find answers. Well, when you try to find answers, you also try, or at least land on some problems. And I think to your point, now you're starting to see that across the country because the country is trying to find answers. Why in the world are the Jacksonville Jaguars 0-4? Because they see what you and I see and what you and I have been talking about for months. This is a good football team on paper, yet it's the worst team in the NFL by record.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? And that's where we start questioning what's happening, because it'd be one thing if we're talking about a lack of talent, right? Where it's just they simply just can't compete. And, when you have a lack of talent, you're going to win a couple games here and there sparingly just because it's the NFL and that's the way the NFL works. And maybe you win a game that you're not even supposed to come close to winning, but you do it anyways because, once again, it's the NFL. But we've talked about this in the offseason. Right? We talked about it with this roster, with these free agent signings, and even guys that they drafted. This team is way too talented. So when you have that talent factor and you're not seeing it on the field and you're not seeing the results, you have to go in another direction, right? Because it's one thing if it's the one-off, Brent. I've said this so many times on the show. Every team's going to kind of falter a little bit. Every team's going to slip a little bit. But the great teams, or at least the good teams, can find ways to overcome it. You have a team right now in Jacksonville that just cannot find a way to win. And they almost give games away sometimes. So when we're having those conversations, then yeah, I'm looking at leadership. And yes, it falls on the players as well. It falls on everybody. Don't get me wrong here. But, and once again, without the risk of repeating myself too much, when the message for the first 3 weeks was exactly the same thing over and over again, where we got to look ourselves in the mirror, and that comes from Doug Peterson, and that translates to the players, and the players reveal it to the media, I feel like you have to go in another direction. So, that's where I was questioning what the locker room actually is. Because when we see the same result week in and week out, but we still hear the same narrative after those games, I feel like something's got to change.
Yeah, and Matt says, why did the NFL change scriptwriters this year? What's so funny about that comment is I think I said to you guys on Monday, and I don't think I've ever said this in covering a game 16 years of the Jaguars. It's almost like the scriptwriters wanted the Jags to win in Houston Sunday, and they wouldn't take it. because like every time they would like get a play, Houston would get a play, it would be a penalty. And I'm not telling you the penalties were wrong. I actually think the one wrong penalty I saw was against the Jags in the end zone. But the bottom line is every time they would go forward, they would march them back. Every time they get a big, they march them back. And I mean, that led to in part them. It was self-inflicted by Houston many times. The reason why they punted.
The punt too, Brent, as well, where he drops the ball. I mean,
well, true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's right. The gift. That was a gift early on. I didn't even think about that part. You're right. Hey, listen, I know we're talking about the locker room. Let's just, before we hit a break, let's hear from the locker room. Yes, it's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes worth of stuff. You'll hear Cam Robinson in here, and I think Cam has been terrific on the microphone. He can, not say he's not terrific all the time, but sometimes doesn't want to talk and feel like talking. He's been very good these last couple of weeks in trying to put all this in perspective, and I think kind of almost educate us on the outside a little bit more about what's going on. And we'll hear Cam's entire interview a little bit later, but he's the last part of this little 2-minute chunk about what's going on in the locker room and how they handle these kind of reports. Here they are from Doug, Christian Kirk, Evan Engram, and Cam Robinson.
I talk to these guys every day. I see them every day. And no, I have not lost the locker room. I think these guys have done everything I've asked. They continue to play and practice hard and battle, and it's a good group. It's a good group. The right leaders in there, and they know what we need to do, and they're not making excuses for it, and I'm not going to make excuses, and we just got to go do it.
I mean, I shouldn't even have to. You got to do your job, so you got to ask it, but I shouldn't even have to answer it. I mean, not at all. I don't know where that's coming from, so I don't even want to really expand on something that's just not true. So,
that's never a question. I love playing for Coach Peterson. It's the reason why I came here, and I know everybody else can say the same. We have so much fun coming in here, and he just creates an environment for us to go out there and own it. This is our team. It's a player-ran team, and Doug has done a great job of just putting it in our hands and help facilitating that. And we all know he wants the best for us. So. That's 100% false.
Not true, one bit. I don't know who said that, but that's just not true.
Do you worry at all about the young guys with the noise reports and you've seen it all? You know what happens.
Is honestly is one of the tougher, from my experience, is one of the learning how to block that out. And it's human nature. You want people to talk good about you. You want good things said about you. And when it's not, I think it could kind of, you're human, it could kind of bother you a little bit. The best thing I've learned since I've been in the league is you got to let that shit roll off your back. You can't, and it's like I mentioned, it's natural, but you have to, once you kind of get that I can't really say it, the mindset you need, but once you get the right mindset, I can't even put into words how important it is.
So there is Cam Robinson and a lot of the Jags players talking about it, and I don't think Austin could hear it. But the interesting part about Cam, what he said there at the end, and he was basically like, until you get in your mind where you say, I don't give a bleep, until you get that, and he said it's a very hard thing. He said that maybe the hardest thing he's done in the NFL is learn to block out that noise, like seriously block out the noise. He's like, you want to... just because he brings up human nature. I really love the reaction from him. He brings up human nature that, hey, you want people to say good things about you, right? And then when you don't, you kind of bow up and it grabs your attention and all that stuff. But it's really hard. But once you learn to say, I don't give a bleep about it and just let it go, it's like this, you hit a new level of almost peace in the NFL. But my questioning to him was a little bit, how do you avoid that to happen with the young guys in the locker room, right? I mean, there are newcomers. They're going to get a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., man, has never lost 4 games in his life in a row. Never lost 4 games in a row in his life. And he's going to come in here and they're going to be part of this like wave of disappointment and negativity in town and everything else. So they've got to kind of wade through all that. And it's not just Kirk and Ingram and Trevor and Cam Robinson. They got to bring that whole 53 on the same page. You've lived it. It's a trickier thing than people probably want to give credit, especially today in today's social media world where you were just getting into that when you were playing.
Yeah. That's a great point by Cam Robinson. So I heard the Christian Kirk one, yesterday and everything, but I didn't hear the Cam one. So I'm glad you kind of told me what was up with that one a little bit. It's a fantastic point. And this is why I was so adamant last year, when Trevor maybe was tweeting at some haters a little bit. And I was so adamant about it this year when Christian Kirk, was tweeting about it a little bit. And this is why I was so adamant about, Eric Armstead putting out the YouTube video saying that they're going to crush the Browns, it's just, and I get it, man. Like that was different because you're trying to build a brand and a YouTube thing, and that's fantastic. Like more power to you. Like it's cool to see people using their platforms and, with other forms of media, people want to say, yeah, focus on football. It's a 40-minute, YouTube thing. I think he's going to be okay. Like I hate to tell everybody, but players like to play video games sometimes too, and players like to watch TV series. Like they're not in their playbooks watching game film 24 hours a day. Some players, believe it or not, have families, and they actually hang out with their families too. So it's not always about football, but it's not for that. But I didn't like the whole, we're going to crush the Browns thing, the title, because once again, that's just added energy that you don't have to be adding, Brent. And, we talk about this all the time. And, I think we both are kind of cut from the same cloth when we talk about how we're so into sports psychology and how an athlete thinks. And they're just examples to me, whether it's the Christian Kirk example, the Trevor Lawrence example, the Eric Armstead example. They're examples to me where, yeah, and maybe it's not throwing off your complete focus, but you're just spending time where you don't have to be spending time at. You know what I'm saying? And that can snowball. So I'm glad that Cam Robinson kind of brought that thought to light a little bit and said, hey, you just have to keep on doing what you're doing and not worry about the outside influences, because at the end of the day, they don't matter. And to echo your point, yes, Twitter was kind of in its infancy when I first got to the league. Not to say, I was getting heckled when Drew Brees kind of shook me a little bit and juked me out of my ankles off of a boot. Thankfully, I sacked him, so I made up for it. But, I was still seeing the comments and everything, but you just have to let them, just roll off you. And, this is the problem with social media, Brent. And being a professional athlete. There's a lot of great of it, right? Because it can help you build your brand. It can keep you informed, but it's a catch-22, because either people are going to prop you up so much and inflate your ego of how good you are, where I feel like you can get complacent, or people are going to have something to say about you in a negative way, try to bring you down, and that's going to put you in a bad frame of mind as well. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation at the end of the day. Do you want to get your ego inflated and say you're the best player ever and all this stuff? Some of that is good, and you have to have ego to play the game, but it's got to be kept within reason. And then obviously the other side of that sword is, well, you don't want to be brought down and made fun of and heckled by a bunch of random strangers as well. So, yeah, I love what Cam Robinson said there, man. Can't state this enough. And I think his head's on, his mindset is where it needs to be.
Yeah, it's draining either way, by the way, in a positive or negative way. And for, again, the only thing I'll give Urban credit for is non-focused energy is one he used to say. And when he got to Jacksonville, and I was like, first of all, he should have lived by it probably, but it's an interesting phrase to me, right? And that kind of fits that non-focused energy. You're getting drained of energy thinking about the wrong stuff or reacting to the wrong stuff. But I do think that's an experience thing too from Cam Robinson. We'll hear more from Cam. I think Cam's been terrific. We'll hear from Evan Engram. I think he's been terrific, and obviously Evan needs to get back on the field to be able to really impact this football team. Let's do this. Take a time out. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. Austin out in Vegas getting ready for his fight in a couple of weeks as well. And we got ourselves a big day on Sunday at the bank as they recognize Tom Coughlin. This is from Hamby. This is from the Super Bowl.
I honestly
what are you doing to me here?
I just saw Jack's Twitter just throw it up, and look, it said from the vault, Everbank Stadium.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the heads up.
You're welcome.
Is this like the opening game?
This is a game.
It looks like it.
Where's this picture from?
Maybe it's the opening game, 95? Is that what it was?
Opening game on the left and then something else on the right. I don't know.
Yeah, because it says Jaguars on the right. Was that the? I don't know. It looks like it would have been the Super Bowl with all the different flags on the field and stuff. I don't know. Thanks for confusing us all this morning, Hamby. Hey, Hamby, why don't you just start throwing up random pictures here on the thing and we'll try to figure them out.
Where's this from?
Say less.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket, and while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
When I say it means something to me, gentlemen, it means something to me.
High school football is back, and it's bigger than ever. Welcome to the Friday Night Zone Blitz.
It is bigger than a game.
Watch the biggest games each week live as the action unfolds with instant reaction and analysis from our Hall of Famer, Kevin Sullivan. It starts with live look-ins at the top matchups, including our Jaguars Prep Whataburger Game of the Week, and that is just the beginning of 4 straight hours of coverage. From 8 to 10:30, the Friday Night Zone Blitz is streaming on our Action News Jax app and online. At 10:30, the Friday Night Blitz you know and love. A half hour of highlights from around the area. 11 o'clock, we shine the spotlight on the bands that pump up the crowd. 11:15, it's time to blitz through the highlights online and on air. Then 11:35, back to the stream to break down the night's results with a reaction from local coaches. 4 straight hours of high school football on the Friday Night Zone Blitz. Only on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
There's a look at the injury report for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I would say this is a very positive sign for the Jaguars as guys are back on the field, like Engram. Bigsby obviously been nursing that shoulder, but has been able to go. Savage is very interesting here. I thought for sure he'd be back last week, and now we're going on potentially 4 games, so I'm not even going to make a guess this week at that. Jarian Jones is really trying to play through some pain. And then you see a guy like Abdullah on there too, and Josh Hines Allen will be interesting. I don't have a good feel for that. I don't. Concussion protocol can be tricky. We don't know the extent of it. You never really do. And I got to believe Devin Lloyd plays this week. Or do they rest him because they want to see more Ventrell Miller? That might be. So I don't have to make that decision, you know. Brent Martineau, along with Austen Lane. I'm back here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Always good to hang out here. By the way, great place to watch your football games on the weekend, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and lucky seat winners get $100 for each touchdown scored. How about that? I mean, that's not just the Jags, okay? $300 if the Jags score touchdowns. Not many of those been going out lately, but $100 for lucky seat winners. With the games going on Sundays and Mondays and Thursday nights. So that's pretty cool. So you get a high-scoring game, and almost everybody's a winner. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Brent Martineau here, Austen Lane in Las Vegas. Jason Hamby back in the studio. Gosh, I put out there as we're discussing this topic, it's so funny. In real time, you never know what's going to hit the fans and how it's going to be read and come away. But I put out there, I said, hey, the reality is, like we were talking about, Austin, with the Cam Robinson stuff, is like when you're in a place like Jacksonville, small town and smaller town, and this is all that matters, right? Or it feels like that's all that matters. The noise gets loud, right? And it can be tough to ignore for players. And man, instant fans took that like it's our fault then, I guess, right? Don't go 0-4 to start the season then, I guess. All right. So it's the fault of the fans again. Terrible take. Such a typical take. The media sometimes forget they get paid for going to the game. The fans pay to go to the game. Big difference. Maybe it's our gutless media that are afraid to hold coaches, players, and owners accountable for that causes the problem. Now, I do not believe that. I mean, unbelievable how all these folks just took that as that's your fault. The tweet was this: the reality is it's hard when there's a wave of negativity in a place like Jacksonville for the players to ignore. I'm just saying they hear it, right? I mean, they hear it.
No, I hear you, man. But then you also put it in bold, and it's like it's more like I guess accentuated. So like. I'm not saying you're wrong here, but I'm saying, hey, I get it. I'm tired to the bowl. Hey, Brent, change the bowl, dude.
You guys don't know the story about the bold, huh?
As in what? I mean, from my understanding, you got verified, and then you kind of forgot where you came from.
We have no idea why it's going bold. We can't figure it out. And Weber even tried to fix it the other day. Mm-hmm. And then I thought Elon came out with something where he was like, hey, we're not putting the bold stuff out there anymore. And it's still bold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bold, man.
And by the way, y'all are soft on the bold stuff. Like, does it really matter?
Bold city?
We are.
Okay.
So then I said, I'm going bold until the Jags win. But I really don't even know how I'm going to turn it off if the Jags do win. That's the reality.
Yeah. So it just happened, and now you're just stuck with it, huh?
Yeah, I really don't know how to, like, if you go into your, if you go put a tweet out there is like a place where you can make it bold. Sure. But when I do that, my bold is not on. Like, it's not lit up. You know, like any Word document, right?
Yeah,
and so,
I got you.
But I guess I'm not alone. Like, this is happening to a lot of other folks, too.
You can ask for a refund or not?
I should. Yeah. I'm afraid what will happen. I mean, I already reached out to Elon. I said, this is your fault.
Oh, dude, no, Brent, have we learned nothing from Elon Musk these past couple of years? The last thing you want to do is call that dude out. Are you trying to get banned off Twitter? Are you trying to put the whole Brent Austen Show in jeopardy right now? Because that's how you do it, by calling out Elon. Like, listen, you would think a trillionaire, probably the richest man in the world, would have better things to do than worry about what people say about him on Twitter and memes and everything. Nope.
Not
Dude's
so.
bored.
I know.
Bored.
Elon said it's not bold in the timeline, but when you click the tweet, it's bold. But I'm not sure if that's the case. Like when you're just scrolling through, is it bold or regular?
So let me see. Okay, so when I'm scrolling through it, it looks to be just normal, and then when I click on it, it appears bold. At least the one that we're referring to.
I see. So, like, that's interesting. Like, I don't usually click on people's tweets to begin with, but obviously, ours, we're wanting people to click on the tweet so they can watch the show.
Yeah.
I have no. The other thing is, I didn't even know it for days and days that it was happening.
Yeah.
So, okay, Delphonic says Elon fixed that a little bit yesterday. He's got the power to fix the whole system. I guess that's kind of cool. I don't get the bold stuff. I can't stop it. I tried to get Stuart on it. If anybody else has got the fix, so let me know. The only thing I haven't done yet is actually I haven't turned my phone off and then back on, but I don't even think that's going to solve it.
Control Alt Delete, Brent. You just never know, man.
At Duval TV, after week 1, I said something about Trevor cutting his hair. Brent and Austin got mad at me about that. Yeah, he's not cutting his hair.
Yeah, man. I wasn't really. My bad.
Nah,
Man.
I don't think. We're a little sensitive today in the fan base.
Well, Brent, times are tough, man. Tensions are definitely high.
They are high. I understand that.
Yeah.
I get that. We're here for you. We're not trying to antagonize. Like, I guess that's my point. I was not trying to antagonize with my tweet. I'm just trying to let you know that was part of the conversation. And then I think it leads to conversation of when you hear the noise, you have a chance for people to yap and talk and all these other things, right? And then that's what kind of this domino effect of potentially losing the locker room a little bit. Hey, one thing I just feel like we don't even know or talk about the opponent much anymore because we're so consumed with what the Jags have to fix and do. We said this a little bit yesterday. I mean, the Colts traditionally have been just the perfect remedy here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What does this Colts team look like? I get we got the Anthony Richardson Flacco thing, and most people say, hey, let's play Anthony Richardson. I'd rather see that. But what, like, where are they as a team? Like, do they concern you? We know what Gus's defense does. They've got a lot of injuries. Like, we gave the injury report. There's a lot of injuries for the Colts right now, and I don't know who's going to play or who's not going to play, but they're banged up. Like, what concerns you about the Colts in this matchup with the Jags?
I mean, what concerns me right now is assuming Anthony Richardson plays. You know, I mean, either quarterback plays, I'm concerned, and I know you don't believe in Joe Flacco, man, but I still do. He looked pretty competent. Throwing to Michael Pittman, it seemed like 10 times when Richardson went down against the Steelers. And make no mistake about it, the Steelers have a fantastic defense, play a very great brand of football, and the Colts are able to get a pretty hard win. So, if my concern is Anthony Richardson gaining confidence. And I understand the narrative of if he was to play, will you see him run a lot? And I think it would be in sections, and it would be design plays where it's more towards the sideline, because if I'm going to attack this Jaguars defense right now, and once again, we've seen this with Eric Armstead a couple of times, we've seen this with a lot of these edge guys a few times, where sometimes players have lost contain and quarterbacks scramble. We've seen it with C.J. Stroud. We've seen it with Deshaun Watson. I don't think Tua really ran that much, but Tua's not really a scramble guy at all. He may have had a couple yards, but nothing major. But Richardson is so much better in terms of the run game than those guys that I mentioned with Deshaun Watson and with Stroud. So if you let Richardson get out the pocket, I mean, that's going to be a very, very long day. And I have a hard time believing that if the Colts do play him, that they're just going to say, hey, man, we know you like to run the ball, but don't run here. You're just going to pass. You're just going to be a statue quarterback. Go ahead and do your best Tom Brady impression. It's not going to happen. It's not who he is.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it, to start the season off, where if he can stay healthy, he can be smart and pick his shots, he may have some success. Well, the dude doesn't know how to do that. Like, I mean, he's a football player. He's a competitor. He wants to, push the boundaries and push what his body's capable of. It just makes me nervous more than anything to have him come to Jacksonville now, where it seems like in terms of a quarterback get-right game, this Jaguars defense can, provide you that.
Yeah. I see that it's really hard to buy into anything, Austin, right? Like, it's hard. I can see them getting right. I can also see, I don't find major mismatches on offense for the Colts. I think the Jags have done a pretty decent job. I don't even know what their numbers say about the run on the run defense. I think they've done a decent job there. They did a good job against Houston the other day, getting them in longer situations, and then just couldn't get off the field in sometimes. But I do think some of their pass coverage feels pretty sticky at times, like the Monteric Brown and everybody else. And I just, we all have different takes on the Colts receivers. They're okay, in my opinion. They're not the best tandem and everything else that you're going to see.
Yeah. I think Pittman is a true wide receiver one. I think he can take over a game. And I believe Josh Downs will be playing now again as well. He kind of had a coming out party a little bit against Pittsburgh in the slot. And, in the past, the Jaguars have had a few problems with slot receivers, especially Downs, who's more of an explosive guy. Like, let's just call a spade here, Brent. It's the NFL. Like, yeah, you're not going to go against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle every single game. You're not going to go against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith every single game. But receivers are talented nowadays, right? And I feel like every team has receivers that are capable of making a difference.
Yeah, and so, like, but again, this is very just hard to lean on something for the Jags. We just don't know what we're going to get from the Jags. And so I think that makes it hard. It's a genuine hard thing to do is break down a Jags game right now because I don't know what is going to transpire. I mean, if you go back to that game on Sunday, so many things went well. If I tell you for Sunday, the offensive line is going to play as well as they did, they're going to run the football as well as they did, the defense is going to look more like the second half than the first half overall, you'd be like, all right, Brent, all good. And now this just comes down to the quarterback making a few plays. Like, and by the way, the quarterback has been very good against the Indianapolis Colts. Like, by far, his best statistical team that he's played against in the division, which obviously gives you more of a sample size. He's been very good at home with the Indianapolis Colts. I think he's a perfect 3-0, and he's got like a 109 quarterback rating. Again, he is comfortable against the Colts. And there's something to be said for that, Austin, right? In sports, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. If you like a pitcher that you like to hit off or whatever it might be, maybe there was a guy at tackle that you like to go against in the league. You just felt better. Doesn't matter if even the league didn't feel better against him. Maybe you did. Yeah. But this is his team. And so he likes playing against the Colts. He's learned to play against this Gus Bradley defense. It looks like it's pretty comfortable for him. I don't think we'll see many big shots because Gus doesn't give you that down the field. So you're going to have to take what you can get. But taking what you can get also can put a quarterback right now like Trevor Lawrence, who's misfiring a little bit, into a rhythm. It might be the perfect remedy for the Jags offense and the Jags in general on a lot of fronts, this matchup with the Indianapolis Colts at this time.
No, without a doubt, because you do have a Colts offense. Like, we'll see if Jonathan Taylor plays. That would be big if he's going to be sitting out. They do have a laundry list of injuries. And if we start talking about from the Colts side of things, 3 and out with this Jaguars defense, yeah, that's going to give your offense a lot more opportunities. Because what do we talk about? I mean, we talk about long, sustained drives when the Jaguars defense is on the field. And that can kind of disrupt the flow of the offense a little bit. So we can get more 3 and outs and everything, have Trevor Lawrence out there a little more, find that groove. Yeah, I mean, what we're talking about, is this going to be the, get right game for Richardson? Well, this could very well be the get right game now for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Trevor's going to have to hit some of these big plays. We have that one painter First Coast paint the play with Austin probably today and tomorrow. We're going to try to get it in today as well, but might do a couple of them this week. And so one of those plays will be that Kirk. Like, he's got to hit these plays that are there, right? You got to be able to hit the layups is what we say. Hit the layups. And Trevor did not do a good job of that the other day. He's done a good job of that against the Colts in the past. Let's take one more time. Well, not one more, just another timeout to make sure we're on track here as we went long in the first segment. But I do want to hear from Evan Engram. We're going to hear more from Cam Robinson. I just think their stuff is really good right now coming out of that locker room. And I know that doesn't mean anything when you don't win, but I really have liked Evan's kind of interpretation of what's going on. And I think it just shows you a lot. I think it says a lot. The bottom line is, can they get him back? Like, what kind of difference will he make if they can get him back in the fold this week? And also, real quick before I do go to break, I'm not 100% confident that he is coming back this Sunday, and I don't know anything. I just don't know if he's coming back, because wouldn't you hold him back? They're not losing necessarily because he's out. They're losing because they're not just hitting on things that they should hit on. And Strange has done okay. Like, do you get desperate in bringing Engram back to make this all work because you've got to win a game, or do you hold him out one more because you just don't want to risk the hamstring because you know how those things work, you know?
I mean, yeah, it's really a great call, Brent. And this is the frustrating things about hamstrings, right? Where if you're not 100% and you go out there and push it a little too much, then you're going to set yourself back another 4 or 5 weeks. I'm not going to lie, man. I think when it comes to the red zone, because we saw it in training camp, we saw it in the preseason, the Jaguars are missing Evan Engram. You know, like he's the guy that can provide those mismatches. And yeah, I get Brenton Strange is coming along and looking better, but he's not that, you know, he hasn't established himself yet as that mismatch nightmare like Evan Engram is. So I'm going to err on more of the side of caution, Brent, just because this is a marathon, not a sprint. And the last thing I want to see happen is Engram get in there, he pushes it too hard and he tears it. And now we're talking about, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 more weeks he's out. Like, you can't afford to have that. So if it's one more week where he's got to set out to get 100%, then so be it. I'll bite the bullet, but I'm not going to risk him tearing it again.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Sorry.
Yeah, if he's Delphonic says if he's ready, bring him back. If not, hold him. Just don't bring him back early. Again, you don't, and that's a tough thing to know until you go full go, right? That's why these things are so tricky until you go full go. Somebody suggested, and now I missed it, but it's bring him back in the red zone. That's an interesting theory, right? Like bring him. Can you play him limited snaps? Could you bring him up and play him limited snaps? But I don't think that's the nature of this injury. The nature of a hamstring is just when he goes 100%, is that thing going to go? Right? Like, it's more that, Austin, right? It's not the amount of reps that he's going to get. It's more when he goes 100%, which he's going to go 100%, whether he plays one play or he plays 50 plays, that's when you're just not sure if it's ready or not.
No, without a doubt, right? And this is a hard thing about being an athlete, Brent, right? Because I guarantee he wants to be back in there, right? And maybe he's going to err on the side of, yeah, man, like, you know, I feel 100%, and he might feel like 90% or 80%, but he wants to be back in there. So it's also kind of on him to be smart here, to listen to your body, what your body's telling you, and not take too many risks. Because once again, yes, we need you for the Colts, but we also need you the rest of the season, more importantly. Listen, if you want to bring him in and max protect by the goal line and just have him walk in the end zone and then throw the ball up, I'm not opposed to that either. Just get him in the end zone and just let him stand there, and then we can figure it out.
What is max protect down at the goal line? Never heard of it. I thought we just spread people out all the time. We'll take a break. We'll come back from bestbet St. Augustine. More on Evan Engram and what he had to say about Trevor Lawrence when I asked him if Trevor's just feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders, and is that why his game's a little bit off? You'll hear from Evan Engram coming up as he was back on the practice field a little bit. Look at those new lids. Not new, kind of old. Little throwback jerseys coming up on Sunday. Everybody's going to be excited about that. The helmets, the whole thing with those throwback prowlers. Could be a fun day, but there's only one way to make it a really fun day on Sunday. That's for the Jaguars to get a win. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder-grade materials. And there's more, and for that, we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game, too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jax 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jax and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Look at Everbank Stadium as they continue to paint that. I think as we go in the show, we were at like JAG, and now we've got like the UAR, I think. Is that what that says down there? Does it say Jaguars in that end zone? Yeah, I think they're finishing it up. Gosh, my eyes are so bad. Like, we do have to, maybe we could just zoom in a little bit more. I'll get the directors to, it's in a different room, by the way, so we can't just make that happen. Like, I'm not controlling that, but we can push in a little bit more for the old eyes of me to help out. Welcome back to Best Bet St. Augustine, everybody. Want to tell you about the cool thing happening here. I tell you all the time about the table games. See some people playing right now. Love the table games here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Well, they got a big month ahead. It's called Clockwork Cash Out. All right, check this out. Table Games $40,000 cash giveaway here at Best Bet St. Augustine location. $300 cash giveaway every 15 minutes. And that is on October 11th, 12th, 18, 19, 25, and 26. So a couple of days for the next few weeks in the month of October, 6 p.m. until 12 a.m. on those dates. And we'll push those dates out there a little bit more so you can get those. You can always go check it out online as well. But $300 cash giveaway every 15 minutes. It'll total $40,000 in the month of October right here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Anyone playing table games, you got to be logged into Poker Atlas from 6 p.m. until midnight, and you're eligible to do that. So a lot of fun here at Best Bet St. Augustine and win some extra money down here at the newest location in the Best Bet family. Also, you can watch all the games. You can play poker. You can hang at the bar, have some drinks. Great menu as well. We always eat down here. Always tell you, love the sushi, love the fries. It's a weird combo, but I like the sushi and I love the fries, and I like the other stuff too. Had lunch here many times at Best Bet St. Augustine. There you go. Nice job, Hamby. Thanks for getting that up. Those are the dates. October 11th, 12th, October 18, 19, October 25, and 26. Fun time to be here, 6 p.m. until midnight. So check it out right here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Brent Martineau here, Austen Lane in Las Vegas. What were you making in the break? Like, we can hear each other, or at least I can hear Austin. What were you? That. No, you're all right. What do you got there? What are you sipping on now?
It's my smoothie.
Well, that's a little. I had to not in the urn. You got to break it down because of what? No, you don't have a big enough blender.
This is a high quality Palms glass here, Brent. So I'm kind of sniffing it.
Heavy regulations, just like the microwaves.
Get this bouquet. Oh, dude. So yeah, get this, man, because they don't have a refrigerator in here either. Because once again, Vegas on the Strip, I guess. So there's like a mini bar, and I'm afraid I might have messed up because there's a mini bar. And I opened it. It wasn't locked, so that's cool. But I feel like they have like the pressure sensors on like the different drinks and everything, which I just took completely out because, hey, not drinking. It's a business trip. So I'm trying to like put like my fruits and everything in there to keep them fresh. But I couldn't really fit them in there. And plus I have my meals from the UFC. So the mini bar is like chock full. And then also at Walmart, I had to go get another purchase, and I bought like a little like cooler, like a handheld, like a bag cooler thing.
Oh yeah.
I put ice in that, and then so that's where most of my smoothie stuff is right now, because once again, can't have a fridge on the Strip, I guess. But needless to say, it turned out pretty well, Brent. I'm happy with it.
So, like, will you even like eat out while you're there, or is everything you're doing just stuff that you normally have on your routine of whatever you're eating?
Yeah, I mean, everything I'm doing is kind of like, the UFC provides all the meals that I need, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
I would be lying if when I first got in, one of my very first stops was at an all-you-can-eat sushi spot, and not exaggerating, I actually had, I want to say at the end of the day, it was 7 rolls because I was that hungry. I didn't really eat during my travels, so I was starving. So I had, 7 rolls, got my money's worth. Oh, by the way, I also had chicken wings and go and throw some pork belly in there as well, and some beef short ribs, because all you can eat, let's go ahead and push ourselves to the limit. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. So do you have a go-to on the sushi? Because like the one thing about sushi is I like it, right? And I like all the different, like you could put something in front of me, most likely I'm going to like it. Not really a picky food guy. I like most everything. But the thing about it is when you go order sushi, it's a little bit like stressful, because there's so many different options. You know what I mean? Yeah, so like so you have a go-to, or because what happens to me is I'm just like, I'll do this and this, because I just get overwhelmed. It's a little bit like the Cheesecake Factory menu. You know what I mean? Where it's got like it's bigger than the Bible, and so. It's just like overwhelming. I don't want to make that many decisions. And but what's your go-to on the sushi?
Yeah, I always try to keep it pretty simple. Like I don't do like all the deep fried rolls. They're more of just traditional. Like and every restaurant's different, right? With like the verbiage and everything. But I always find like the red dragon roll, which is salmon, and you got like the crab in there too as well. Some spicy mayo. Everywhere I go, I usually get at least one red dragon roll. It's never disappointed me. I like the rainbow roll, where it's more of just like, it's not really sauces, it's more of just like fresh fish. So, fatty tuna, salmon, things like that. But no, man, I'm open to everything. I'm gonna say this. I think I told you this before. I had sea urchin for the first time last time I was in Vegas.
Yeah, you said it was good.
No, I didn't say it was good, Brent. I said it was good. I said it tasted like a bunch of pennies in your mouth. So that wasn't the best, but you have to eat it. If you don't eat it, and then you like put it on your plate, then they charge you for it. So I had to like stomach that. But do you know what's on the menu now? I don't think I've ever really disclosed this yet. Do you know what this place has the menu? Which I'm very curious, because you can only order it once, and I talked to the lady about it, and she said that, yeah, we actually have that. Guess what I'm talking about? And by the way, she said that it tastes like tofu, which I'm all set.
I have no idea what I would even guess here.
Monkey brains.
One more time.
Not even like monkey brains. Yeah, I'm not lying. Like,
does it say
menu,
that?
Look it up.
Does it say it?
Yeah.
Like, is that what it says?
Yes.
Oh, it's not like you have to translate the word or whatever it is, and people just tells you like, it's not like calamari where people are like, you can trick the kids, right? It's calamari, and then you're like, hey, that's octopus.
No, trust me. Like, the first thing when I saw the menu, I go, can you please come here for a second? I'm like, I have a question. Like, is this really what I think it is? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going to order it, but what does it taste like? And she goes, it's kind of like a tofu. I'm like, yeah, I'm all good. So I don't know, like, how they got that. I don't know that was even a thing. I have no idea, man. But it's on the menu. Not going to order it. Like, I'm down to try fresh, new, exotic things. That ain't one of them.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like that's kind of weirds you out a little bit, that one, Yeah,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was super hungry, so it didn't really weird me out in terms of not eating there. And I'm probably gonna go back because it's like $35 for all you can eat. But yeah, monkey brains can order
like this.
I'm all set. I guess, but like if you look up monkey brains, like it's yeah.
How did your mind go to that, Hamby? Like.
Because
how do you say, I remember the monkey on the
Colts? I'm not going to lie, that kind of bums me out now, Hamby. I don't know.
Listen, because if my dad is watching, he'll know this is a recurring joke in when I lived there. This was on Come On Man, probably 10, 12, 15 years ago, and it was a monkey riding a dog. And when he said monkey brains,
I remember that. I remember that.
That was one of the sickest things that's happened on a football field in Indianapolis. In Indianapolis.
Like, maybe, I don't know. I'm looking this up and I don't know, man.
Somebody said it's a delicacy in I think they said an Asian delicacy. Which, I mean, all these things, like when you have something that exotic, right, and kind of wild, and like, well, it falls in that category, right? I mean, it's usually a delicacy of some sort.
I guess, man, but like, I can't. Like, let's say I'm down. Like, I ate sea urchin, and it was yellow, and it was like bright Steeler yellow, and I still I'm okay. I'll give it a try, and yeah, it wasn't the most enjoyable experience, but I have no desire to eat monkey brains. Sorry.
Well, apparently it's as heavy hitting as that Steelers yellow too, because it tasted like pennies.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to go behind the scenes, just take 10 pennies, go in your drawer, take 10 pennies. Put them in your mouth, wash them around a little bit, and there you go. There's sea urchin for you. Enjoy.
Can't wait to go to Vegas. I got to try this place in December. Working on that. I wonder how many people are going to go to Vegas and make that trip right around the holiday, of course. That'll be a fun one. First time I'd ever been. I can't believe I've never been to Vegas. It is kind of stunning that I've never been. But I will change, I think, coming up in later December. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane in Vegas. Jason Hamby in the Action Sports Jack Studios. You found the actual food? You found the food part?
Dude, come on. What are you doing here?
I mean,
that's like putting like Babe the Pig and then a big old plate of bacon underneath it. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, Pete is going to be after you.
Right? I mean, if the
it's not the first time.
Enough for Twitter, now we're going to get PETA after us. Can't wait, man.
Okay, let's do this. Let's switch back to football and talk. We were talking about Evan Engram being able to play. No easy transition from monkey brains to football. But if when we're talking about Evan Engram and the difference that he could make, and let's listen to him if you have it ready, Hamby, first, and then we'll have a little conversation about his impact on this football team right now and how much that's being felt. The bottom line is you can make this case. The Jags are without a bunch of guys. I mean, they have been hit by the injury bug. Yet I feel like, and so before I actually toss to this, Austin, do you feel like that's why they're losing, though? Like, because I don't. I don't feel like, and with all due respect to Engram, he's a fantastic player. I think his leadership could maybe make a difference here, makes you feel better, all those things. But I also think like Tyson Campbell and now Foye, of course, there's a smaller sample on losing him. We'll see about Josh Hines-Allen. But Darnell Savage, to me, has been significant. The way I saw him play in week 1 and the fact that they have to play so much with Antonio Johnson and they can't mix things up the way they want to, I think that's been pretty significant for some of their struggles in the first half specifically on defense. But I just don't sit there and say, like, okay, they're losing because. And part of the reason is, first of all, the quarterback's healthy. Most of their pass catchers are healthy. Their running backs are healthy. And their offensive line's healthy. Usually when you talk injuries impacting a football game to X degree, you're usually talking about the quarterback position, maybe a major pass catcher, and well, I guess Engram could fit that category, but really the offensive line, because you've got to go way down the depth chart to fix your offensive line. I just don't sit here and think, okay, injuries are the reason why the Jaguars are 0-4. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, obviously, it doesn't help things, right? Like, anytime a great player gets injured, it's going to affect your team. It's going to affect the dynamic, but I don't think the reason why they're 0-4 right now is because of the injuries. Because once again, we can go all around the NFL and look at key injuries at certain spots where teams have, found a way to at least replace that guy, tread water, and still have some success. Brett, before we get into the video, let me ask you this: of all the injuries so far, what's been the most detrimental to this team? Would you say?
It's a good one.
Because, like, I know Engram from the leadership, but, like, I don't know if I lean Tyson Campbell just because of, like, how I feel like the team felt about. I mean, they paid him for a reason, right? Like, I lean Tyson Campbell.
To be honest with you, Matt, I actually look. Well, we're going to lose the Buffalo game no matter what. Let's just take the Buffalo game out. If you take the Buffalo game out, you lost the game in part because a healthy guy like Andre Cisco missed a couple of the big play, or didn't perform well on the big play, and ETN. Like, there wasn't because somebody was out of that game, that's why you lost. And Engram was in that game, by the way, and he only had one catch for 4 yards. The Cleveland game, I think, could have been a factor for Engram the most. And defensively, they did enough. I don't think Campbell makes a difference in a win-loss. I do think when you score 13 points, Engram makes the difference. Again, Buffalo, forget about it. And now this one, I mean, I'm sitting here and asking myself, this is why this is a hard question. If Engram is in the game, do they win? And does he help you on the goal line in the goal line situation? Does he help you on 3rd and 1 when they roll out and missed ETN? But it was right there to be made. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm telling you, Delphonic, he'd say, are you Savage based on how bad Antonio Johnson's playing? I'm a big believer in Savage might be their biggest guy that they're missing right now. The problem I have to fully go there with Delphonic and myself is the fact that it's a one-game sample of what we saw from Savage. I don't know how much he's going to impact the game anyway. We saw him for one game in this defense. But the bottom line is you are thinned out on that side of the ball, and that makes you thinner, and you are having to play Antonio Johnson maybe a little bit more and in spots that you don't want to or have to if he's in the game. So it's really hard for me to say Engram is not the biggest injury. But my mind kind of tells me that Savage is probably the biggest spot right now that they're not replacing. Because Brenton Strange has actually done a really nice job in the role overall, I think, filling in a more high-profile role than Evan Engram. So I don't think there's an easy answer here, and I feel like I'm kind of sitting on the fence. I just think it's easy to say Engram here, especially since their offense has seemingly lost them 3 of these games, right? Yeah. I mean, don't you have to go there because of that alone?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of red zone, what it's looked like obviously, I feel he's a missing piece, and to kind of echo your point a little bit, I mean, if you have Tyson Campbell in there, like, would Nico Collins still go off for over 100 yards and propel me into fantasy greatness? I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's a great question. I just don't know. I do think it's because it's two sides of the ball. What's interesting is our answer is not Tyson. I don't think my answer is Tyson Campbell. Okay. He's a $20 million a year guy right now for you. and that's not it. Like Monteric Brown, I think's played pretty well. You're going to give up some plays, and maybe he stops some of these plays in the first halves of games. Maybe he's better because maybe Jerry Jeudy doesn't beat you in some spots against Cleveland where he beat you on a couple of plays. But there's nothing glaring that's like, holy cow, are they weak right now at the corner spot to me.
I just think my issue with it, Brent, and this is going back to our conversation yesterday with the Lions, where, when you pay your guys, in that year, like you want to see another echelon. You want to see him take another step where it's like, all right, man, this was a great investment. And it's not fair to Tyson Campbell because he has an injury. It's not like he's not playing well. It's just the fact that he's not out there. But I still think from, going forward, from confidence to investment, I feel like, for as much money as you pay Tyson Campbell, you like to see him come back and have success. So I guess that's where it really stems from, more not necessarily like, the on the field, what we're seeing, like, what are they missing? It's more of just justifying the money that you gave somebody, I think.
All right, I'm going to get to Engram, I promise, but now you guys got me, going in some different directions because even Delphonic says Tufson's Dewey and Tayshaun Gibson are out. I don't know about Gibson really, but I think Dewey adds something. I'll get to it in a moment. Hamby's Burner says, I agree with you guys. No takeaways from defense. Now, that's another good point. If you do have Campbell and Savage in the game, are you flying around a little bit more? Are you making a play? Are you tipping a ball? Are you defending something that lands in your hands? And then you have a game-changing play on the defensive side. I think that's a very good point, So I'll ask you this in kind of a different way, not about injuries necessarily, because Dewey jumps at me in this respect. And I'm not sure he's the answer, but he made me think of this.
Okay.
And Engram makes me think of this. Who is the heart and soul of your offense and defense right now? Or who is anyway? And who is right now? Like, do they have that guy on offense and defense that's like, we feed off this guy?
Yeah. I mean, so let's go to offense first. You love to say your quarterback, right? Like, I think a lot of teams would go through their quarterback, but I'm not ready to put Trevor in that category yet. Honestly, as outlandish as this might sound to people, I think the heart and soul is Brian Thomas Jr. on offense, because he's been the guy that's kind of given the spark a little bit. Like when you need a big play, when you need some momentum, he seemed to have that. Now, Travis Etienne, too, in spots has, provided that, and Tank Bigsby has actually provided that as well. But I think from a consistent basis where I need to make a play and I need to turn the game around, I think I'm going with Brian Thomas Jr. right now.
Yeah, because listen, here's the deal. Like, this is an interesting, the concept of this, and you know this, Austin, right? You always played with somebody like this. Puz was like this, right? You could identify Puz as a good player, but everybody fed off him, right? And he wasn't this rah-rah guy at all, but they fed off what he did, how he performed. I feel like they did, at least. And this varies from team to team, personality-wise or talent-wise. But I always do think you come back to somebody that is it. And it might not be the guy getting 3 interceptions or getting 100 yards catching the ball. I do think Engram might be that guy on the sideline in their huddle. Like the reliability, the toughness, right? The I'm gonna overcome adversity. Just that raw nature of Engram that stands out to me so much. On the defensive side, this is why, like, who is that? Who is that guy right now? Like Ventrell Miller, somebody said, well, Ventrell Miller played like that the other day. Ventrell Miller played so well, Austin, that when we got post-game from Travis Etienne, somehow, like, we didn't even ask about Ventrell Miller, but Etienne brought up Ventrell Miller, and it's like, man, I love watching that dude ball. Like, that was awesome to watch him play ball. Like, those kind of things. And that's from a running back who's standing on the sideline. He's not even on his unit. So, like, that's what we're talking about. That do the Jags have that guy? Dewey in the past has been that guy at times. And I guess that's the interesting part of this.
Yeah, it's wild because if you ask me at the start of the season, who is it? You have to go, Joshua Hines-Allen, or you have to go Trayvon Walker. And I'm not sure if we're there yet. Like, I would almost like, and it's a small sample size, but if you're going to go to that Houston game, like, yeah, Ventrell Miller by far. And this was my frustration one of my frustrations with the Doug Peterson press conference. Like when you had an opportunity to kind of prop him up a little bit and celebrate. I mean, keep in mind what we're talking about here. We're talking about a guy who was thrust into a starting role, right? Like, this wasn't like he was highly touted this offseason where it's like, all right, Ventrell Miller, here we go. Like, no, man, like nobody was really expecting anything out of him. And he had the best game of his career. It might have, I don't know what PFF says. It might be, Josh Hines Allen, but I feel like Ventrell Miller had the best game out of any Jaguar. So it did frustrate me a little bit when Doug was like, yeah, you know what, look at the tape and we'll see how he plays. Like, no, man, like, you saw it. He was flying around. He was making plays, tackles for losses. Like, that type of play has to be celebrated. It has to be, propelled and put on a pedestal because you need more performances like that. So it's wild that we're talking about after one game, Brent, but I wouldn't be opposed maybe saying that Ventrell Miller right now until we see another guy kind of step up a little bit.
Yeah, it might be. Ventrell Miller was terrific, and so maybe can he stack them, right? Can he do it again? That'll be an interesting thing to see if he's able to do it. There are some other options here, by the way. Foye, I think, is a heartbeat in a way because he's going to do his job. Like, it's very much like Puz in that respect. Like, he might not make the splash play, but he's going to be where he needs to be all the time, do his job, and you can, by the way, be the heartbeat of a team when you know that guy is doing that. Again, doesn't have to come rah-rah, doesn't have to come with throwing, getting a touchdown pass or getting an interception. There's various ways to be able to make that happen. I promise we're going to get to Evan Engram. We will, but now we just went late because of that fun topic. So let's go take a break, and we'll come back on the Brent Austen Show. We're live, Best Bet St. Augustine, and also out in Las Vegas eating some strange things at the restaurants out there in Vegas. We'll be right back.
It's hard to put a price on comfort, especially when you use that comfort on a daily basis. But if we're going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC. We are professional grade. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder grade materials. And there's more, and for that we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoldCityAC.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, Jaguars All Access tonight on Fox 30 at 7 o'clock. Christian Kirk will be our guest. We will have a Christian Kirk play as Paint the Play coming up in the noon hour with Austen Lane, brought to you by That One Painter First Coast. I hope you can join us tonight at String Sports Brewery in Springfield. Welcome back to Best Bet St. Augustine. Brent Martineau here, Austen Lane out in Las Vegas. And I want to tell you a little about Nimnicht Buick GMC, by the way. Hopefully you're in the market for a new truck or a new vehicle, and Nimnicht Buick GMC is the place to go. Have a vehicle that fits your life, can make all the difference, like the brand new redesigned Buick Enclave from Nimnicht. Buick SUVs are exceptional by design with available features like Amazon Alexa, Apple CarPlay, and Android auto backup camera, hands-free Bluetooth, OnStar, and Wi-Fi hotspot as well. And right now, save over $8,000 off MSRP with extra Nimnicht discounts remaining on 2023 models, or save with rates as low as 0.9% APR financing. The financing is really good now, and it's back in the car business, especially at Nimnicht Buick GMC. Who brings it all together for a better buying experience? Nobody but Nimnicht. Nimnicht Buick GMC off Phillips Highway or NimnichtBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade. Killer Tofu says, has anyone seen the price of furniture lately? Got to take out a loan to buy a dining room table. Furniture Source might be the place to go.
Check it out now.
Austin Lane. There you go. They've got good deals over there at Furniture Source. Go see them in the Avenues Mall and off Blanding Boulevard as well. New location coming up off at Atlantic as well. Dan Orlovsky taking shot at Jags this morning for drafting Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson. Probably shouldn't be a surprise. The Aiden Hutch. It's like I feel like we could do this at the one of those balance things that you used to have in science class, whatever that is. And so you'd put Trayvon Walker on one and Aiden Hutchinson on the other. And at times, like, this thing is kind of swung, right? Like back and forth of, okay, well, you can make your case now for Trayvon a little bit. That's it. And Aiden, by the way, has had the bigger swing. But, I mean, right now he's in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. So here's what I have, that's interesting that got brought up. I thought about this the other day. If Aiden Hutchinson had come to Jacksonville, is he doing what he's doing? And my curiosity is, if Trayvon Walker is in Detroit, would he be doing what Aiden's doing? You know what I'm saying? So, like, are they getting the most out of Aiden Hutchinson? Are they putting him in the best position to be successful? Is it that defense? Or is it just that Aiden Hutchinson's a better player than Trayvon Walker? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You're trying to see, like, the environment, the scheme and everything. But at the end of the day, the mark of a great pass rusher, it does come down to quarterback sacks and the pressure and everything. But that's kind of the beauty of it, because whatever scheme that you play in, when it comes to edge rushing, it's more of just winning your, battles of being on one-on-one. And I think Hutchinson right now, you see his numbers, he's got 6.5 sacks right now. Jeez. I mean, the guy can win his one-on-one battles, Brent. So I have to believe, whether he was in Detroit, whether he's in Jacksonville, like, I think Hutchinson, was going to find success because the dude wins his one-on-one battle. Simple as that. And obviously, there's some blitzes and some twists games and some upfront games as well that they play in Detroit, like any other team does. But no, I think Hutchinson's too good. Wherever you put him, he's going to have success.
Well, and the reason why, listen, I know you can ask this question all the time, Austin, but I think right now in our conversation we're having with, okay, they added weight, this scheme, they're moving them inside. They're not just keeping them on the outside. Like, all these different things are going on. And the other part is, if we're talking about being a seller, let's just say the Jags lose next couple of weeks and they're a seller. Well, if they are, we also think that the Jags have players that are going to go out and perform elsewhere better. And sure, that's a knock on the coaching. And they're not getting the best out of guys right now. We feel like that's right now is the case. The Jags are not getting the most out of their talent on a sheet of paper right now because they're 0-4. But individually, would you say the same? If Andre Sisco goes somewhere, would he play better? If Trayvon Walker's in Detroit, would he just be producing at a higher level than he's producing here? This has less to do in this conversation about who's the better player, and more to do is who's setting you up better to succeed.
I know, Brent, but this is the thing. We're talking about the first pick of the draft. You're supposed to have the first pick of the draft. It doesn't matter where they go. They're supposed to be the difference maker on your team. Now, I understand sometimes when you talk about the quarterback position, it doesn't always stem like that, right? And then we talk about quarterback busts and everything. It is, they weren't ready to go. But at the edge rush, offensive line, whatever the case may be, when you take somebody number 1 overall, you don't have those conversations of, well, if you put them over here. No, there's a reason why they're the top pick of the draft, because you bring them in and they're so good that they can beat any system, they can beat any scheme because they're that talented of a player.
Yeah, I guess, but we also did talk about that the other day. It's a little bit dangerous just because you pay a guy who puts on this superhuman thing. You still got to set guys up. I mean, Trevor, we think, would be really good right now in Detroit. The same thing works that way. What they're surrounding them with, how they're using them. Ben Johnson. That's why people want Ben Johnson to come down here and be the head coach, right? So, I mean, there is this I don't know. I'm not telling you that Aiden Hutchinson would be bad down here. I just don't know if he's as successful down here for whatever the fit is, for whatever the culture is, everything else.
Was Myles Garrett the number 1 overall pick, or was he number 2 because did a quarterback go first?
I think he might have been number 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take Myles Garrett as an example then with that. He goes to Cleveland, which was the factory of sadness for how many years? Played with bad offenses, played with bad quarterbacks, played with bad coaches. Did it matter for him? No. He still plays football at a very, very high level. And that's my point. Where
Yeah, that's a good point.
It doesn't matter what your situation is. Once again, now take the quarterback out of this because the quarterback's different, Brent. But if you're talking about an edge, you're not going to draft a wide receiver #1 overall. But if you're talking about any other position and you bring him in, he has to play above what you have as a front office. He has to play above what you have as a scheme, and he has to deliver. And that's what #1 overall picks are supposed to do.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. I guess there's a part of me that doesn't fully believe that Aiden Hutchinson is Myles Garrett. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Like, I think he's a good player, but I just don't think player-wise there's that much difference between him and Trayvon Walker. He's performing better, but I think Myles Garrett and Trayvon Walker there's a big difference in #1 picks, right? But I just don't see that. I don't have a feeling, and I could be dead wrong. We never will know. That's the problem with these kind of questions. We never know. That I just don't know if Aiden Hutchinson's doing everything he's doing everywhere else. But he might be. He might just be that good of a player. And I don't think Trayvon's a bad player, but I don't think he's doing it. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's a little glitchy here. My bad, man. It keeps cutting. But let me ask you this. Well, who has a better situation where you play alongside a guy who had 17.5 sack season last year and, in Josh Hines-Allen? Like, I feel like Trayvon doesn't really have to be the guy here. Aiden Hutchinson, he was brought there. It's like, dude, we need pass rush help because we don't have anything else really besides. That they've added pieces, here and there. But it wasn't like the Lions pass rush was highly touted when they brought in Aiden Hutchinson. Like, he had to be that guy.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a fair point too. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the only argument here is your argument is why is he being moved around? Like, why is Eric Armstead out there, right? Like, what? Just keep him there and let him go. And don't put 13 pounds on him, and don't do those kind of things that detract from a 10.5 sack year where it looks like the ascension is happening, right? The ability to maybe go take that next step and dominate games, and you're seeing this gradual increase. And I'm not even suggesting we're seeing it backtrack yet. I think we have too small a sample here in 2024. But I would just wonder if we're going to be talking about that once again, kind of like our conversation yesterday. Have they put these guys in best position to be successful? All right, I do want to get to this Evan Engram sound, so let's do it. Let's play Evan Engram yesterday in the locker room. And one thing about this, I kind of was thinking, okay, he's going to play. He was out on the practice field. He's going to play. Listening to him, I'm not so sure I'm as convinced he's going to play on Sunday. And also, by the way, he lost a bet to Josh Hines-Allen because so he had to wear a Kentucky blue shirt because Ole Miss lost to Kentucky last week. So that's kind of how this thing starts.
I don't know what happened. They got lucky, I guess. So
it was
that's
close
a bet.
At least,
yeah. We're supposed to beat the teams like that.
Yeah.
It's a huge upset for us. So
looks good.
Nah.
How's the hamstring feel?
Getting there. Definitely good to get back out there today. Just kind of following rules and working back in and just kind of getting back on the floor.
Doug mentioned he talked to you guys about Coach Coughlin and the throwback jerseys you're going to wear on Sunday. Any thoughts on the jerseys and the throwback logo?
We've known about them for a while now. I know it's kind of a later, release to the public, but definitely a big weekend. For the franchise. Big weekend for us to rock the new threads. Definitely bringing some excitement with it. We gotta go performing. We gotta go balling, and that's the goal.
I know you've been banged up before, but not in this role, maybe.
Yeah.
Captain, obviously struggling. You can kind of tell you want to help so much, but how hard is it when you're not out there to help?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm a man of faith. I know, God's working on something. He's doing something in my life right now, and I just kind of surrender to His will and kind of work on the things that He's presenting me to work on. So it definitely sucks not playing football. It sucks not being able to go out there and run around and be with my guys and be in the battle and the wars that we've been in. But there's there's lessons to be learned in this season for myself too. So as far as being a captain, I've just continued to grow in that aspect. I know I'm not on the field, but pushing guys and just trying to continue to work and push guys to work, push guys to get better. Like I said, just trusting his will for me in this time, and trusting the healing process too to get back and lead with my play as well.
What's more humbling, having to wear Kentucky or missing games?
I mean, they're both bad, both real bad. I definitely hate not being out there. I definitely hate being in this. So, but yeah, it's tough either way.
You know how much weight's on the quarterback in this league all over, but do you sense at all, Trevor's feeling some of the weight to pull you guys out of this, to pull this team out of it, and maybe that's why he's a little off?
No. That was one of the first things that I noticed about Trevor when I first got here 2 years ago, really. He's the same guy every single day. Bad game, good game. He comes in here with the same attitude, same energy, and the humility to get to work and fix the things that he needs to fix. So is he down? Is he feeling it? No. He's the same guy every single day. He's in here getting better. He's in here leading us, pushing us, and we have his back 100%. So adversity is going to hit everybody. Adversity punches us all in the face, and it's all about how you respond. And 1-6 is the guy that will respond.
He normally owns it when he has a bad game or something. Is that something that is noticed and is important in a locker room? For sure. I mean, it's important. You have in any type of leadership role, especially in that position. And that's that's just a true tale of what kind of competitor that you have, that you're playing next to, what kind of man that you're playing next to, and a guy that can look in the mirror and own his mistakes and own his failures. He has the right mindset to work at whatever he needs to work at too. Good is going to come, and he will respond. So that tells a lot about a guy and a leader, and 1-6 is all of that times 10.
A lot of noise comes with disappointment and everything else. Are you at all concerned, maybe not with yourself and the older guys, but the young guys in a locker room like this and how they absorb it, handle it, and what infiltrates this room?
That in reality, that is a thing. You go down this road, you're not having success, you work your butt off season, all training camp, and things aren't going your way. A lot of human nature does point to why, saying why, asking why, being the victim. But this football team loves football. These young guys love football. That's one thing I've noticed, in my position, being on the side, is watching these guys fight, watching these guys show up every single day and working and putting their bodies on the line. These guys love football. I think we continue that mindset no matter what the circumstance is. We're going to show up to work and show up to win. So that's what I see, and that's what we're gonna keep encouraging and pushing for all the young guys and then the whole team.
Following up on that, with the noise, there was a report that Doug has lost the locker room. I mean, can you just address that? Do you sense any of that?
Not true, one bit. I don't know who said that, but that's just not true.
You were here in 22. You guys lost 5 straight in the middle of the year, and then light switch goes on, make a run. Are there any lessons? Can you think back to that? Is it that like in parallels between the kind of slump you guys are in right now to then?
That's where my faith comes in. Even in the circumstances, no matter what, we have the guys that are going to show up every single day and work to win. That's all you can do. You can't create an outcome that you want. You can't you can't choose to win. You have to go earn it. You have to work for it. You have to have faith in the unseeable result. So that's what this team does. That's what this team is built on. We're going to keep doing that, and the results that we want will eventually come.
That is Evan Engram, and I know Austin's not a big fan of words. Like, I get it, but it's part of the job, right, for us and for them. Like, we ask and why, and I'll always appreciate the fact that they don't give you just cliche stuff. Guys like Engram, and you'll probably hear from Cam Robinson a little bit later. I mean, that's like, there's some depth to it, Mm-hmm. There's some he's trying to come up with answers. He's trying to, he admitted, right? The noise is real. The noise gets real. Like, we got to that actually does happen. So I just appreciate a little bit of that from Engram. And, man, I just feel like the last 2 weeks talking to him, this team needs him on the field because of who he is, not necessarily his hands and his statistics and his Pro Bowl-ness, but more who he is. And I think they need him back sooner than later, and maybe even this week.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. You're missing the leadership. You're missing the veteran presence. There's always something to be said when you talk about a guy who seems to be the first one on the field and one of the last ones to leave at every single training camp practice. I'm sure every single regular season practice as well when he's healthy. That means a lot. So I agree with you, man. They desperately need him back, not only from a playmaking standpoint, but also just a veteran presence, a leadership standpoint, because we've echoed this now for a couple of weeks here where it's hard to be that leader. It's hard to be that captain when you're not on the field with your guys. And it's not like, and this isn't just a Jaguars thing. This is an NFL thing. Like this is any sport, where, and once again, like maybe he should say more, right? Because I think he's earned up enough, notoriety to say, yeah, even though I'm not playing, you should still respect what I got to say. And maybe you take that direction if he's not going to play this week. But he's definitely a guy you're missing right now in terms of playing ability and leadership.
Yeah, Luke, got a question for you, Austin. Did the players have a meeting at this point? Like, we're all getting asked if Doug has lost the locker room, what the bleep. How does the questions being asked affect the players? Like, do they now start, even if they hadn't heard about it, I think what Luke's trying to say here is, do they start talking about it and be like, start looking it up? Wait, what are people talking? You know what I mean? Is the bottom line is it's impossible to not hear noise now. I don't think it takes a Wednesday session of reporters asking questions to know the noise, unless you're just completely have the blinders on.
No, I mean, it was impossible not to hear the noise back when I played in 2010. So I can't imagine now with it amplified with social media and everything. Like, yeah, players see everything. Now it's all about how they respond, how they take it. But I think the question you alluded to, Brent, a little bit was like, has there been like a meeting, a players only kind of meeting? And I'm sure there's been some sort of that. Now, I'm surprised we haven't really heard anything from the national media, because when those meetings take place, usually that gets out, and then, oh man, that's not a good look. And I always I never understood the narrative of like trying to hype up the players only meeting and saying, that's a bad, I think it's a great thing, right? Because yeah, you're a team, you're a unit, but the players are out there, sacrificing their bodies, feeling a certain type of way. And I understand coaches are getting all this scrutiny, right? We've been very hard on Doug Peterson. I think a lot of people have, and rightfully so. You're the head coach. We're supposed to be hard on you. But what people feel the neglect is trying to be a player too, like trying to go out in public and you haven't won a game yet and all this stuff. So, yeah, maybe there has been a players only meeting. Honestly, I hope there has been. And like I've alluded to in the past, I hope that, and I get Shad Khan is not an X's and O's type of guy, right? He hires the right people that he feels can run the ship, and he lets them do that. And then he kind of just stands back and lets them do their thing, which I'm not opposed to. I would much rather have that than a Jerry Jones type who wants to have every single fingerprint on every single move that an organization makes. Nevertheless, if I'm Shad Khan, I hope there's been conversations with leaders in that locker room, whether it's Evan Engram, whether it's with Trevor Lawrence, Josh Hines Allen, and saying, hey, just, what's the state of this locker room right now? What's the state of this team? Can we do anything to give you guys more? What do we need to do? I hope those conversations have been made. I'm going to find it crazy if they haven't been made, because if I'm Shad Khan, I have to have some sort of recognition of what's happening, to my team who's now 0-4.
Yeah, I would hope so too. In that respect, Luke clarifies his question a little bit, and I see what he's saying now. He's basically saying, like Engram and Kirk and Trevor, seemingly like Doug, right? I said this yesterday. They've built equity with Doug, so 4 games is not going to turn that over on its head. But the question is, do they say to the guys that might be yapping, or be like, bring everybody together? Is what Luke's asking. Like, hey, knock that off. Like, this ain't it. Like, you don't look, we've been through battles with this guy. He's going to have your back. Don't be talking to your agents. Don't be talking to the media. Don't be doing this stuff. You're going to mess this thing up and we'll have no chance to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, are those conversations taking place, Brent? It's hard to say. They very well could be, but and once again, we take players at their word, but you're not going to have a player come out in a press conference or in an interview and badmouth a coach. You don't really see that. So maybe Evan Engram said, we don't even. How frustrated do you think Trevor Lawrence is? I understand Trevor Lawrence is singing Doug Peterson's praises here and everything, but Trevor's got to be frustrated, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because this offense isn't, and he's not playing. Obviously, he's not playing very well right now either. So it's on Trevor Lawrence as well. But Trevor Lawrence has to be frustrated how the season's going, and there's got to be some sort of frustration with Doug Peterson and Press Taylor. How can there not be? You're the starting quarterback.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, I think we're going to try to get Martin Buckley on. Maybe I'll give you a little bit of a break, Austin. I don't know how this is going to work, but he's out at the Furyk and Friends, Constellation Furyk and Friends golf tournament at Timuquana. So, yeah, there we go. Oh, maybe we can all join him. I mean, hey, look at the head cover.
Yeah,
Is that a dog?
I feel like my bandwidth here, Brent's kind of breaking up a little bit. I'm glitching. Do you want me to back out of the group so maybe it could run a little smoother, or you want me to stay in here?
Yeah, you can. It'll really depend on what Hamby does with you here. I can take this over so you can catch a little break with, and we don't have a three-way conversation going. But Hamby, I'm going to try to reach out to Martin right now. Martin, can you hear me?
He's asking for you. Yeah. Hey.
What's up, Martin? You can hear me or what?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Look at you. There we go. How's it going out there? You're at the Furyk and Friends Pro-Am.
It's going great. We're having a great time. Where are we? I think we're in 10th place right now. That's right. We're trying to make a round, trying to make a run, trying to win a jacket from Rose and Blooms.
Oh, is that what it is? It's you get a blazer. It's like being up there at Hilton Head.
It is. It's exactly right.
Good deal. Furyk and Friends golf tournament, by the way, coming up tomorrow. The real tournament starts. This is the fake stuff right now with guys like Martin Buckley from Palm Beach Autographs. Are you hitting it well? Because as I call you, you are America's guest. You've played in many of these.
We're playing pretty well. I just stuffed one to. We probably got 5 feet, 6 feet. We've made a couple birdies today. We're in good position. So we're having a good time. I think we're sitting at 10th or 11th right now, but we're having fun.
Who's your guy again? Who's your player?
It's Tungjae JD. Am I saying that right? We call him TJ.
All right, good deal. Yeah, I think so. I didn't realize he'd already be on the Champions Tour. Interesting.
Yeah. You want to say hi to him?
Sure.
TJ, come say hi. This is my friend Brent.
Hi, how are you, sir? How are you?
Hey, how are you, TJ? How's the golf course at Timuquana?
I'm very good, man. I enjoy that because the green is very tricky.
Yeah, greens are tricky. How's your game, by the way? You going to give this a run this weekend?
Oh, we try to do it better, but today, I enjoy with partner, we play with everyone enjoyed it today. I think it's hopefully we get back and then try to get my best this week. Yeah.
All right. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you. See you, bro.
Good to see you too. Go putt it well. Make that birdie. That's cool. By the way, Brett Quigley. Brett Quigley's the defending champ of this event. He's a Rhode Island guy. I don't know if you knew that, Martin Buckley.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. So go Rhodey.
Here's a live looking at birdie here.
I like this. I knew you'd be good at this.
Here we go. Oh, all right. We saw it though. We have a good look here.
What hole are you on again?
What hole are we on, boys? Second.
They flipped the hole. I think they flipped the nines here for the Furyk and Friends.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, Constellation announcing today that there's an extension to the partnership with the Furyk and Friends golf tournament here on the Champions Tour. So congratulations to everybody involved there. Here's Buckley now. He said he owns about 6 feet.
Oh yeah, he missed right.
He missed right.
This is a 4 for birdie.
Yeah.
Hey, hope you guys bought mulligans.
Okay, thank you.
We stroke on that hole.
Yeah, that's all right. Hopefully you bought some mulligans there, Buckley. Hey, I want So, no mulligans. So, hey, Martin is from Palm Beach Autograph, so he knows the memorabilia business very well. And along with giving us a little look at Furyk and Friends, which is at Tim Aquana, go out and support the event and local charities if you can, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it showcases Jacksonville in a great way. But, hey, Pete Rose passed away, and you know Pete quite well after all your dealings with him in the memorabilia business. Give us a little bit of Pete Rose from your perspective.
Oh, Pete was a treasure. Brent, you would have loved him. I think you had the opportunity to meet him in Jacksonville at the store. But, being a guy that grew up loving baseball, we would have signings that honestly, should have taken, an hour or two. That would take 3 or 4 hours because he would just sit there and just tell stories and talk about hitting and talk about guys he would play with. He was incredible to all of our fans, young and old. He had a kind word for everybody. He had a funny story and a quip and a joke for everyone. We actually had him, we had worked out a deal where we were going to bring him to our Tampa and Wellington location in January. So unfortunately that won't happen, and we will miss him very much. But he was always a pleasure to work with. One of a kind. Yeah,
one of a kind. You're right. And you get some of those guys, right? Some of those guys sincerely are one of a kind. And it does seem like Pete, with all the background, but also how good he was. And he understood your business so well, obviously, because he made a business out of it.
No one signed more autographs than Pete Rose. A close second would be Bob Feller, but no one signed more autographs than Pete Rose. That was his job for the last 35, 40 years. I mean, he was a machine.
Wow, that's wild. All right, before I'll let you go, I know you got to go and go back to golfing, but you've got some big signings coming up, don't you?
We do. We've got Josh Hines Allen. The first time he'll be signing his full new signature. That's coming up next week.
Monday,
yep. And then we've got a few things in the works. We've got some stuff for the Panthers fans. We're bringing more Panthers players down to Wellington. We're going to have more Dolphins players. We just had Tyreek Hill and Odell Beckham and A-Chain and those guys down there. But, we've got a bunch of stuff and some more things with the Jaguars lined up, too.
Yeah, good deal. All right, Monday, 6 p.m. until 8 p.m., Josh Hines Allen, Palm Beach Autographs in the Avenues Mall.
Tony, too. We're going to have Tony in for a signing.
Yeah, listen, man, those Jaguars are going light these days. It's a deal. Everybody, we got a BOGO going.
My new salesman.
Good luck selling that right now. We're all trying to do the same. All right, man, go hit it well. Thanks for taking us out to the Furyk and Friends golf event. Have fun.
You got it, boys. Have a good one. Good to see y'all.
All right, you too. That is Martin Buckley, our buddy. He's awesome. He's the best. And love to support the Constellation Furyk and Friends as well. The news today, they extend the title sponsorship Constellation does, so that's a huge deal, obviously, for the dollars that go into the event, to be able to support the event, everything here in Jacksonville, but also the big charity part of this, which has raised millions of dollars now for local charities. So congratulations to Jim and Tabitha Furyk. The event kicks off tomorrow, by the way, and 54 holes of action on the Champions Tour with some of the big names in the sport of golf. Brett Quigley is the defending champion. John Daly will be out there as well, and guys with some terrific resumes over their career. All right, we're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. Let's do this. Want to take a timeout? We got Paint the Play. Christian Kirk down the field. What happened on that play? I can't wait to see what Austin thinks about it. We will go Paint the Play coming up when we come back here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network, the Brent Austen Show. And a look at the lineup, folks. We are in full go mode now that the weather has cleared. Tonight, Christian Kirk on Jaguars All Access, 7 o'clock on Fox 30. Tomorrow, Jag Social at 7 o'clock with Olivia and Chandler. And then Friday Night Zone Blitz coming up at 8 o'clock to 12. We'll live peek into a lot of different games in the area. I know we missed last week because of the storm, but we're back at it, including the Friday Night Blitz tomorrow night, 8 p.m. until midnight. And then you see our weekend lineup. We will have Tom Coughlin live on Countdown to Kickoff from the stadium at 11:30 on Sunday morning on CBS 47 as well. So make sure you keep it locked on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network, ActionNewsJacks.com, Action News Jacks app, and Action News Jacks now on your smart TV. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast years, a place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Right now, get 10% off any residential job of $500 or more. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
At Southampton, local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the golf club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Hey, there's a look at to that one. Painter First Coast paint the play. Austin's going to paint that play to Christian Kirk here in just a moment or two. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. Don't forget, table games, $40,000 cash giveaway in the month of October, 6 p.m. until 12 a.m. on 6 different dates, October 11th, 12th, 18th, 19th, 25th, 26th, $300 cash giveaway every 15 minutes. Brent Martineau back with Austen Lane. I just couldn't, just because I kicked you out for the golf intentionally because that way we didn't have to talk wrestling. Hopefully Scrap House went well yesterday, by the way. 5-year anniversary for AEW.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Scrap House went fantastic. We broke down a bunch yesterday. We got Bad Blood coming up this weekend in WWE, and some interesting things happened last night in AEW Dynamite that we'll definitely be talking about this up and coming Wednesday, this next Wednesday, with me and Casey Kurtz. So.
All right. Austen Lane out in Vegas. He's got to get going in a little bit because he goes to train. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, he'll get out of the show a little bit early. But before we do that, how about a little paint the play, man? It's back. We're going to do a play today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a defensive play. Yeah. You mentioned the Kirk play was one that you wanted to take a look at, which is kind of interesting to me because to me, it's like, well, isn't this pretty simple? Paint the play brought to you by that one Painter First Coast. He just missed, right? I mean, it's a good route. He just missed. So what do you see here?
Yeah, for sure. And first of all, listen, I'd love to come in here, whether it's on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday, and do paint the play and have, shiny, happy thoughts. But there is no Bob Ross right now. This is a little more dose of realism. And I think, all right, so this is the first slide. And I probably should have been a little more, technical of what we should be looking at here. But if you go back to the way this play originated and the formation, both, whether it was the miss to Brian Thomas Jr. or Christian Kirk, they're both kind of the same formation where you had Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas on one side of the ball, and then you had Gabe Davis on the other side. So basically what you're looking at here is you have a 2-receiver formation with Brian Thomas Jr. and Christian Kirk on the same side. And this is what I kind of wanted to showcase a little bit. So now we get to the first slide. Obviously, when you look at the pocket, it's clean, okay? Against a pretty damn good Houston Texans pass rush that kind of got neutralized a little bit against the Jaguars offensive line. By far the best game the offensive line played all season. Trevor has, room to step up. And this is why I kind of featured this play a little more than, the Brian Thomas Jr. play. Trevor has to make both these throws. Make no mistake about it. But with this throw, he had such a clean pocket where there really is no excuse here, right? So this is the first slide. Brent, anything you want to add to it quick? Or
No, I think you hit on everything, man. I mean, it is just like the pocket. Everything's beautiful. Everything's perfect. Like everything is probably how, quite frankly, Press Taylor and Doug Peterson drew it up.
Yep. So, okay, we go to the second play now, this second slide. And we see Christian Kirk wide open. But what we don't see is how he got wide open. And if you remember, the first long ball was to Brian Thomas Jr., gets overthrown a little bit, could have been a big play. But this is in the safety's mind. And they had one deep safety for this play and the Brian Thomas Jr. play. And the safety makes the same mistake twice, where they get so preoccupied with Brian Thomas Jr., who ends up cutting off his route around 12 yards. So everyone thinks, all right, Brian Thomas Jr., he's going to go deep. I got to help out. That wasn't the case. They had Brian Thomas Jr. run, I think it was like a 12-yard in route, it would have been, right? So he breaks off at 12, he cuts back in, the safety gets a little lost, and this allows Christian Kirk to be wide open. And this is what I wanted to highlight a little bit, Brent, about this offense and some games that you can do going forward. When you have Brian Thomas Jr. and Christian Kirk, we have the preconceived notions. We have the preconceived notion of Brian Thomas Jr. lined up on the outside is going to run a go route. Right? The guy's super fast. This is where he made all his bread and butter in college. And then we also have the preconceived notion that Christian Kirk's a slot guy. He's more of a possession receiver. We don't see him go deep that much. He's more of, he's going to run a 10-yard in, out, whatever slant, and get the ball out quickly. Well, the exact opposite happened here. So they essentially switched their roles, and this confused the secondary of the Houston Texans. Obviously, Christian Kirk gets open. The ball's overthrown. It's a nightmare. Brent, we have any more slides, or is just 2 slides today?
I think it's just the ball landing.
Okay. Oh, jeez. You couldn't give me the safety bite, but we had to see the ball. I love it.
Hey,
So, and then obviously here's the afterthought of it, and here's the end result, and it's not what you want to see. Christian Kirk had a couple of steps on him. Yes, we can sit here and say that Trevor had a clean pocket. Yes, we can sit here and say it was a bad throw. All those things are true. But what is also true is when we see Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas Jr. on the same side lined up with Kirk in the slot, or at least Kirk on the inside, a lot of interesting things can happen, because this is where we have preconceived notions beating a defense. Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't always have to be that deep ball guy. Sometimes Christian Kirk can be. And I thought this play highlighted that more than anything.
Yeah, I think it's a very good illustration of what the Jags can be as this paint the play presented by That One Painter First Coast. And what I like about this is the Jags have been so good at explosive plays this year. They've drawn them up. They've missed on some. They've hit on some. But I think all their intentions of the offseason, I think this is where we do have to give Doug and Press credit here, is that their intentions of building this offense to get more explosive, Austin, has created this kind of play that we see on the wall that says it all. Now you just got to hit them. And they have hit some, by the way, but they've got to hit more of them. But don't you think they're delivering actually in that aspect, where they're one of the most explosive plays in the explosive teams in the NFL, and they even could have more if they connect a couple of these kind of plays on Sunday against the Houston Texans? So how they've envisioned it is actually how it's playing out, and I think that's your point of this right here, is to say, listen, if they do get in rhythm, if they do get clicking, well, there's more of these to go get over the rest of the season.
Without a doubt. And also, I think it's an attribute to just how teams are already afraid of, and we're talking about this was the fourth game, but teams are already getting afraid of Brian Thomas Jr. And that's a good thing for the Jaguars, because when you have safeties biting, thinking he's going to go deep and he doesn't, and that leaves you kind of vulnerable in coverage a little bit, that's a really good sign going forward, just about how many teams are actually respecting Brian Thomas Jr. game already. And keep in mind, he's only a rookie, and that was his fourth game.
Paint the Play, presented by That One Painter First Coast, 904-495-1373, and look them up online. That One Painter First Coast is the location you want to go to for all your painting needs, interior, exterior, and a lot of other things that they can do to help your home out or business out as well. That One Painter First Coast presents Paint the Play. We'll do another one tomorrow on the defensive side. Austin will take us to something that's been bothering him quite a bit as of late. That will take place tomorrow during the show. Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. Before we do let you go, just a bigger picture NFL stuff. Where do you think this Davante Adams stuff lands, right? The Jets, are the Jets the team? Is this just all a decoy everywhere else? And it sounds like all the reporting has this going right into New York and a reunion with Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, it does make a lot of sense, right? If you're the Jets, Aaron Rodgers reunion and everything. But the Bills, too, have been kind of linked now as maybe a dark horse, which is kind of surprising, because I feel like, and I get it, they're not household names right now in Buffalo, but obviously playing at a pretty high level, Josh Allen being showcased, and they can run the ball really well. So I don't make sense of much of the Buffalo thing, but I mean, he still is a great receiver, I think, and he's going to bolster any wide receiver room as long as the attitude's there. So, I mean, yeah, I think you talk about Buffalo. Now you're talking about a team that's, playing a pretty good brand of football. I get their last game didn't look so good against Baltimore, but, I think if you bring Davante Adams to Buffalo, they might be one. I mean, I still in Kansas City, but man, it's hard to deny the Bills making a Super Bowl run. And then obviously, yes, in New York, where it makes all the sense in the world being back with Aaron Rodgers again.
It's really interesting. I think the Davante Adams one is going to be kind of fun to watch play out, but also the results of what come with it, whether it's New York, whether it's a place like Buffalo, in New Orleans has been mentioned, other teams. But I just think I've talked to some people about how they feel about it, whether it's us on the show or other folks off microphone, and I think we have varying opinions on it. Like, I'm just not a huge Davante guy, and to add to my team right now, right or wrong, I get the idea of it. It would get you excited. It would energize the fan base, no doubt, and be like, whoa, look what now they can be. And maybe that's the way it plays out. I think you kind of feel that way, Austin, that that's the way it will play out. If he ends up in the spot, he's going to really help someone, right? That's the way you feel.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, because I still think, like, I get it, he's getting up there in age and everything, but he's still way too talented of a wide receiver not to help somebody in the right situation.
So if he ends up in New York, who's the bigger GM in sports in the last 5 years? LeBron James or Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, you still have to go with LeBron James, but I get where you're going with it.
And, I mean, is that right? Like, do you mind this? I mean, you're a player. Like, do you mind these guys crafting these kind of deals? Like, because to me, it really looks like Saleh and the Jets are just like, okay, Aaron, it really feels that way. And we know that was the case on a lot of different stops with LeBron James. Like, he's running the show. But sure, you can have insight like Joe Burrow, right? Drafting Jamar Chase or Tom Brady, this or that. But, I mean, it really feels like he has orchestrated a bunch of the things that now set the roster in New York, at least on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Is it right? I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but it has to happen because they're in win now mode. Realistically, how many years left does Aaron Rodgers have? Not too many. So, you have your franchise quarterback, but your franchise quarterback's not going to be there forever. So you need to do everything in your power to try to win right now. And if that means bringing in a wide receiver 1 to help him out, then you got to do it. Because I think this is the Jets example, but I think any team that isn't willing to risk it for the biscuit with a quarterback that's on the back nine of his career, I mean, what are you doing? Like, Aaron Rodgers isn't a bridge guy. Like, you have no other options. You brought him here. You brought him to New York to win a Super Bowl. So act accordingly and do what you need to do to get him the weapons to succeed.
How about this news that just broke? Speaking of Devontae Adams, or at least the Las Vegas Raiders, Dennis Dodd says the Las Vegas Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce slapped with an 8-year show cause and 1-year suspension in the wide-ranging recruiting scandal during Herm Edwards' regime when he was coaching there at Arizona State. Per the NCAA, Pierce, quote, ran the show. Given the egregious violations, Dennis Dodd wonders, will the NFL weigh in on this one? That is just fresh, coming out just a few minutes ago, but pretty wild. An 8-year show cause for Antonio Pierce, who wasn't even the head coach, Austin. And I doubt the NFL weighs in on this. This feels like two separate entities, the NFL and college.
Did they win on Jim Harbaugh? Absolutely not. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty interesting. All right, get out of here, man. Go get a workout in. We'll do it tomorrow, Friday, from Las Vegas to Jacksonville. Have a good one.
Sounds good, man. Let's go Brewers.
That's right. Good luck to your Brewers tonight. And we do have a Thursday night football game coming up, so we got some good action here on Thursday night. You'll hear from Cam Robinson coming up here still on the show. Take a time out when we come back live from Best Bet St. Augustine. Hear from Cam. Talk a little bit more about that. I'd like to get Hamby's thoughts on that. Antonio Pierce kind of out of the blue. Harbaugh, no surprise, right, with everything that we had followed. But kind of unique, it feels like, for an assistant coach to be this tied into such a crushing blow from the NCAA. As you look at Everbank Stadium, get ready for a Sunday game. Now, it's a beautiful day in Jacksonville right now. We do have some weather moving in this weekend that could see it a little bit rainy on the dreary side on Sunday, so hopefully not too much impact on the football game and going out to watch the football game on Sunday afternoon. But the game is on CBS 47 if you don't make it to Everbank Stadium.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
People helping people is at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jacks and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Well, there's a look at that clockwork cash out, table games giveaway, $300 cash giveaway every 15 minutes, 6 o'clock until midnight, October 11th and 12th, October 18th and 19th, October 25th and 26th. So if I've got my calendar right, that's Friday and Saturday, each of the, after this weekend. So Friday and Saturday, the last 3 weekends in October, right here at Best Bet St. Augustine only, just here at this location, $300 cash giveaway every 15 minutes, and you total it up, comes out to giving away $40,000 worth of cash prizes here at Best Bet St. Augustine, just in that 6-hour window on those 6 dates. So come on out, be a lot of fun, a lot of energy in this room. And don't forget as well, you can always watch the games right here on all the big TVs. Grab a drink at the bar at Ace's Bar and Grill. Food as well. They got sushi right over there. And then you get your poker and your table games right here at Best Bet St. Augustine, place we love to come. But don't forget to get Orange Park and Monument Road up there in Jacksonville as well. Luke, all over the chat these days. Best wide receiver statistically Jags ever drafted is Allen Robinson. He had less than 3,000 yards receiving for the Jags. raise good receivers. Brian Thomas Jr., I think, Jason Hamby, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be hands down the best receiver the Jaguars drafted production-wise at this rate. I mean, do we already know that?
I mean, we're not far removed from it because it's just not a hard thing to accomplish, unfortunately. As Luke says, Allen Robinson about as good as it's been out of the draft especially, and I think that was the expectation when we drafted Brian Thomas Jr. I think, Allen Robinson was a second-round pick, I believe, and with BTJ going, 22nd, 23rd overall, the expectation is for him to be an extended playmaker for this team, like a second, even third contract kind of guy. And that's kind of something that we've never seen here in Jacksonville, at least in a very long time.
Well, if you think about this latest draft thing, right? I don't know how far you want to go back. Go back to, well, for the sake of this argument, I'll spin it and go back to 2019. You're going to have in the last 5 years, let's just say, drafted the quarterback that ends up with the most, that breaks all the records. He's going to break all the records. Now, I'm not telling you he is going to go on a better run than Mark Brunell did in those few years. I'm just saying he's going to break all the records because he's going to play here a long time. He might not be playing great right now, but he's going to play here a long time. I don't think ETN is going to reach the Mojo and Fred Taylor kind of numbers, but I think Brian Thomas Jr. has a chance. This is from a draft perspective. Josh Hines-Allen is going to be the all-time sack leader in Jaguars history. So, I mean, just think about those guys alone. Then you can add in like Evan Engram, one of the best free agent signings. He already owns the tight end records, right? We'll see what happens with a guy like Trayvon, how he climbs the list and where he ends up going. So you really take this like roster build of the last 5 years and you're like, well, and this might be more of a knock on the history of the Jags than it is on, hey, these guys are unbelievable. They are going to rewrite the record books in the last 5 years of roster building with the individual successes that they do have. And what are we going to say they have to show for it from a team perspective, I guess, is the bigger question. Because 9-8, obviously a nice little playoff run there, and that's all we got right now in these last 5 years. Got a couple of number one overall picks and that kind of thing because the seasons were bad under Josh early on, and now you flip it, and it's still not where you think it's going to be. And if things flop here this year, you're going to probably have another reset. How crazy will the reset be? How much will they rip this roster down? How much will they get rid of? How close will it feel like going into 2025? Again, I feel like we're a little premature on some of these conversations. I feel like this is hopefully not until late November, December that we're having these kind of conversations. But the bottom line is you can't ignore the fact that it might be tracking that way.
Yeah, and you really hope it's not, but it could be one of those things where we look back on this football team, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and we think, a team full of guys that had great individual careers and individual successes, but man, they never just could put it together, and it was a waste of a lot of careers and a lot of talent. And especially if you have numerous guys on the roster at one time who hold records for most, whatever the case may be, in your franchise history. You look across other teams, I'm guessing they don't have that's not the case for a lot of other teams where, they had a team with multiple guys with all their records and they never made an actual deep playoff run or Super Bowl or anything like that. And you really just hope that's not the case. But, I mean, at least thus far, we have no reason to believe any otherwise.
Yeah, and again, things could flip. I wanted to ask, I'm thinking about this a little bit. Not a lot of it, just a little bit. I think a lot of people feel like they're going to win this weekend, and I don't know if they're going to win because when it's going bad, it's going bad. It doesn't matter what you think, right? Like, just take yourself back to last year, and we can go all the way back to other years, like when the Jags beat the Colts here in Jacksonville, when the Colts had everything going their way and the Jags had nothing going their way. So, like, there are constant reminders that just because you think it's going to happen in the NFL, it doesn't happen. So let's just set the table and realize that, because we know that, but sometimes we don't want to acknowledge that. Last year, when the Jags lost 5 out of 6, there were like 3 games. Like, yeah, don't worry, they got this. Don't worry, they got this. not how it worked. Tennessee being the last one, and it's unbelievable they lost that game to Tennessee, quite frankly. But we do feel like the Jags are going to get a win here sooner or later. They have a good enough team to. I think they're a better team overall on paper than the Indianapolis, who actually sits 2-2, and they've had a good success against them in recent history here at home, especially. If they get that win, and then they go to London, another place where in recent history they've had a chance to gather themselves and kind of flip it. If they come back for some reason 3-4, just a little stroke of positivity here on a Thursday afternoon. If they come back 3-4, do they have any chance at that time to actually fix what has been a disaster start? Or is that just a little bit of a mask of, don't worry, they're still not that good? Because just come with me for a second. If we're going 3-4 on October 21st, we would then be saying, my gosh, they should have beat Miami. They should have or could have beat at least Cleveland or Houston. Let's just take one of them, even though we know both of them could have existed. Do you start saying, okay, they're finding themselves as a team? And I guess some of that's like, what does it look like? Are they scoring 35 points, Brent, in this stretch, or are they just still kind of like eking out a win? I don't know, but I just feel like there's one more flicker of potential hope on this season if they are to go run the next 3 weeks. Do you think that, or is that fool's gold?
I really think that in order for there to be any glimmer of hope, they'd have to win all three. Just because you could so easily blame it or attribute it to a lull in the schedule just as much as you could a turnaround. Like, because after London, if you were to even come back 2-5, all right, then you play the Packers, then you go to Philly, then you play the Vikings, then you play in Detroit. So good luck. I mean, you're not coming out positive in those 4 games. If this team is better than we've seen, if that's the truth, then I guess you could hope to go 2-2. But based off what we've seen, that looks like 1-3. And if you come back 2-5 after London, then you're looking at 3-8 or 4-7 at best going into the bye. They're if they are 3-4, they would have they would probably have to go 2-2 in that stretch. Yeah. That next stretch to then give themselves, because at that point they'd be 5-6 with 6 games to go, and then you could actually it does, like on paper right now, I say on paper, loosen up a little bit for them down the stretch of the season. So it's their last chance to rescue it. Because here's the one thing: if they do come back 2-5, 1-6. Well, there's no way they're going 3-1 to put it back on track in that next stretch. Like those, you're not winning in Detroit and Philadelphia. You're not probably winning in either place. Quite frankly, the wins there are against Minnesota and Green Bay at home is where you probably have to do your work. Except we haven't played well at home, so.
Well, I haven't played well anywhere, quite frankly. So, I mean, I'm just saying, realistically, if you feel better about yourself, if things going to turn, if we're playing this kind of game, that's where it would have to go. And it's a way too early game to play. But I really thought if they had lost to Houston, it's dead in terms of any chance. And I still think that way, by the way. I just want to let you know. And as positive as I am, I think that was the game that got them on track. That was the game that got you closer in the standings, because this really becomes about the AFC South more than like a wild card deal, right? So you now have to basically run the table in the AFC South and go 5-1 to have any chance, which means a win over Houston and obviously sweeping these other guys. So but it's also doable. Like, it is doable. I mean, that part. Then they're going to have to find wins elsewhere as well. So again, I'm trying to keep this flame alive a little bit, man, because you just don't want to be just totally dead here in early October, which it does feel like they're totally dead. But I guess if they can go win 3, and then you'd feel totally different about them. You'd be pissed off, like I say, about September, but you'd feel totally different that, hey, now they can go beat. You'd feel different how they would approach Green Bay and Philadelphia and Detroit and Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Right. And by the way, what's the chances Minnesota's playing this good in like November when they come to Jacksonville? Like, highly doubt it, right? I mean, they're not going 17-0, and they're probably not going 13-4. They're going to hit a slide somewhere in here. So that's the way the league works. That's my point. That's what my point last week is, like, stay in the fight, man. Stay in the fight. Stay in the fight. Give yourself a chance. It just feels like they missed a chance to stay in the fight against Houston. They've got one last chance to stay in the fight. That happens Sunday, and that happens with 2 games in London, which I think is very hard to do, by the way. I think it's hard to win both of those games in London. I don't care. It's the Patriots and the Bears, 2 winnable games. That's not the point. I think it's hard to win both of those games in London.
Yeah, and man, like I told you yesterday, the more distance we get from the Texans game, the more frustrated I get with it. Like, I'm way more frustrated now than I was at 4:30 last Sunday, and unfortunately, the high likelihood is that I'll be even more frustrated come like January, the second week of January, with the game as I am right now, because it really is. I mean, look, I feel like we're gonna get to a place where it's, man, like the whole 0-3 could have been completely swept under the rug. The Monday night game in Buffalo is a complete afterthought, not even remotely matters, but the Houston game. And it's going to come down to, again, the plays that were there that we missed, the 43-second possession, and handing the ball right back to the Houston Texans with a couple minutes down the stretch, and all the missed opportunities. And because if you're 1-3 right now, like, there's a realistic chance that you could come out from London 4-4, and then you're fine. Like, you're good.
Yeah, it's tricky. I get what you're saying there too. Like, I still feel that way about Tennessee last year. Like, that still doesn't. The sting of Tennessee last year doesn't ever go away, because it's like you should just have never lost that game, and the way it worked and what it would have done. It would have got you in the postseason. It would have erased a lot of the narratives. It would have, even if it's masked, it doesn't matter. Like, winning masks a ton of stuff in the NFL. I do just feel like in my mind that there's going to be a time at this point, at this season, where the people, even national, are like, look out for the Jags, here they come. I just feel like there's going to be a time, and I could be dead wrong. I could be absolutely wrong, been wrong before. I just feel like that's coming, and if it's going to come, it's probably coming soon, right? It's coming soon in these next few weeks, if that's going to happen. Hey, let's hear from Cam Robinson. I want to get this in and maybe talk a little college ball too before we finish the show, as you have Stadium Pulse tomorrow, and a couple of things we just haven't talked about on the college front, plus a big one this Saturday with Florida and UCF. But Cam Robinson, I want to get to here, and I just think, listen, that offensive line played its best game. And all this conversation about what we just said, if this offensive line now turns it up and turns it on and can do this more consistently, it'll really give them a chance to do what we just said and get back in this fight, even if it might be too late.
Games that you guys have played together.
As an offensive line, there's always stuff we can work on. There's always stuff we need to get better at. I think that game kind of, I think we did some things well, but there's still things we need to work on.
What were the things that you did well that you said, hey, we can build upon this?
Thought we protected really well. I thought we ran the ball well. I thought we protected well. I thought we ran the ball well. Obviously there's always stuff to clean up. None's ever perfect. You want to be strive for perfection, but understanding that that's going to keep you working, because you'll never reach it. So we're just going to put our head down and keep working.
Crazy to think you are one of the longest tenured guys here. You were here when Tom Coughlin was the EVP.
I think I'm the longest tenured guy here.
Yeah, at this juncture. So Tom going into the Pride for you, I would think is it's a little more personal than a lot of these guys.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I still remember when I was coming out of college, and I had a private workout in Tuscaloosa, just like in our indoor facility, and there was nobody in there but me, Tom Coughlin, Doug Marone, and Pat Flaherty, who was our O-line coach when I first got here. So it's just kind of crazy to think back on times like that, stuff like that, and to just kind of fast forward that 8 years later, and now he's going into, the ring, and it's just, it's kind of cool when you do take the time and look back on just how far how far everything has come.
I know, of course, obviously, being here as long as you have, the relationship you have with some of the legends, I'm sure seeing Tom and knowing the legacy that he built here in Jacksonville for you, what will that mean to see that number up on the wall in the stadium?
It's huge. Anytime you can get anytime you can have that happen, you go up in the ring. It's just it's a big deal, and it's something to be celebrated, and I'm happy for him. And it's just a huge congratulations, but it's always something to be happy about.
How's the dynamic with him? That it's tough to work for him, play for him, but also it works. It worked in 17 for you guys too.
Yeah, he's very matter of fact. You know what you're gonna get. There's no gray area. It's black and it's white, and but that's how I came up through college, and that was really all I knew. So it never really bothered me much. I mean, I was aware of it, but it never really. It was kind of when you come in and you're that young. I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better. So I was always just kind of go with the flow.
How important to stack another good performance for you guys? You mentioned last week you guys were sky high in terms of confidence. You go deliver a good performance up front, but now how to keep it going consistently?
Just touching on the confidence part. I've kind of been around a while now, and I've been through that phase of my career where a performance can kind of get you down and kind of get you. The confidence has to come from the work. The confidence comes from the work that you've put in, and just being confident and knowing that you're doing and that you have done everything the right way. And you just kind of put your head down and keep working and trust that you're going to start to get the results that you've been working for. The second part of your question, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Well, just in stacking them and be consistent now with some of that, right? Because the performance showed. I mean, you guys were good the other day.
That's the consistency is the most important part of life almost. Definitely one of the most important parts of this game, and just playing in the NFL. Consistency is everything. No, you never kind of want to ride the roller coaster. You just kind of want everything to be even keel. So you kind of want to anything you're doing well, you want to build off of, and then what needs to be corrected, you need to be honest about what needs to be corrected, and just start taking those steps towards correcting them.
You know what's on the weight of a quarterback in this league. Do you sense at all that Trevor's feeling the weight sometimes and maybe trying to live up to everything a little too much?
I don't think so, and I would hope not, just because Trev knows everybody. Trev knows I'm sorry. Trev knows everybody in the locker room has his back, and we don't. I mean, you really have to. And I've a lot of the guys in the locker room, I don't know if they've been, but I've lived that. Every emotion in this league, I've been through it. So it's tough, obviously, and I've never even had to deal with a tenth of the pressure that Trev is probably having to deal with. So, but I hope he finds his comfort in knowing that everybody in the building has his back. We'll do anything for him. We got all the confidence in the world in him, and we're not worried about Trevor. Like we'll, as a unit and as a team, we'll get it corrected. We're not worried about Trevor and needing to play better, and anybody in specific needing to play better. We'll get it right.
Do you worry at all about the young guys with the noise?
You already heard that part from Cam Robinson earlier in the show about the noise and his response, which also was very good, I thought. But the Trevor thing right there at the end, and even the Tom Coughlin stuff catches my attention. I'll tell you why in a minute. But the Trevor stuff is good from Engram and from Cam Robinson, right? You could tell by almost the way they respond to the question that they don't see a player that's kind of shook a little bit. That's not it. They know he can play better, but they also haven't lost any confidence in him. You can usually see it more from facial reaction than what they're saying, right? And I think I thought Cam was really good on that, man. Cam, I'm telling you, Cam was an interesting one from like 17 to maybe even before last year of talking to. It could be a little moody at times, and you never knew what you were going to get, which I kind of like. When I'm interviewing a player, you don't know which one you're going to get. Keeps you on your toes. But when he played last year in London in that Buffalo game, it was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done after a game. He was so good. He was just so he was in tears about coming back and playing. Like, it meant so much for him to play after the suspension, the injuries, all this other stuff. It was really kind of a neat thing to see, and if you got to go back and find that one. But then these last couple of weeks, I I don't usually go to Cam in the locker room. I mean, sometimes we'll find an offensive lineman, but I just think he's been really good overall. And I know he hasn't played the best football overall this last couple of years, but he played a really good game on Sunday. And I'm just starting to think now, did this offensive line find its groove a little bit? Did the play caller help him out a little bit? Will Trevor continue to try to find ways to help him out? The running attack is helping them out. There are just some wins now on that offensive line last week, and with the running game success in the first month, that you're like, all right, maybe there is something. Maybe they did need some continuity. Maybe there's something to work off here. And, hey, we're trying to cling to any hope in Jacksonville right now, Hamby. But if that offensive line can start to deliver again, that's a big part of it.
Absolutely. And it goes back to what we said after the Browns loss. And I said, look, all offseason we talked about these guys have never played. These 5 individuals have never played together for an extended amount of time. And that wasn't a big story after week 2 specifically. But I remember I brought it up because if it was a story before the season and going into training camp and preseason, and it was enough that we asked about it going into the Falcons' third preseason game about, hey, I remember we asked Ezra and I think we asked Cam and Anton too. Look, this is kind of y'all's first action together, all 5 of you. There's a chance that, you're passing guys off all the time as a lineman. You start on one guy and you pass them off to the next. This is not individual guys that have to, there's a ton of continuity. Just as a relationship between a quarterback and a new receiver has to be developed, relationships between, it's not like Anton and Cam have a relationship that needs to be developed, and they'll never cross paths. But in between guy to guy, you have to work on stuff, and you got to know where a guy will be. And I think there's a chance, man. And I know, like you said, we're trying to cling on to anything that we can. But I don't think it's that far of a stretch to think that, look, this offensive line could be finding another gear, and if they get going, then you got to have a little bit of confidence going in at least to these next 3.
Yeah, I think you're right. Listen, the only way to do this is get reps in games. Like, that's the problem. You can't do it much in practice because of the way practices are structured. You're not doing it in preseason. You don't want to get these guys hurt. So the only way to do it is, it might be the one thing that's come out of the first month. Forget about the wins and 2 things that have come out of the first month. You got some playing time with this offensive line. They continue to stay healthy, knock on wood, and now you can go forward. Also, Brian Thomas Jr., right? I think those are the 2 things offensively. Like, oh, okay, we can work with these 2 things now. Now we know a little bit more of who we are. Now let's see if they can put more than 20 points on the scoreboard and get a win. That's the next phase of it. One last thing real quick. I want to take a break, so let's get a break ready, and then we'll talk some college ball on the other side. Cam mentioned Tom Coughlin, and this is what you continue to hear about Tom Coughlin. It's black, it's white. You know what it is. It's here, it's here. You do start to wonder, it might be just today's day and age, which is part of this, but is a little bit of the problem with Doug, this would be very deep diving, is it a little bit too much gray at times? Because the bottom line is he's been very gray on the play calling topic alone for the better part of 2 years. So if that's more of what sometimes Doug can be, is that a little bit of a disconnect at times? I'm not telling you he is that way with the players and everywhere else. This could be just with everyone on the media front. But we are seeing that in this instance. Like, it's been very gray. Very, very, very gray on the play calling side. And it's gotten him into some trouble here because of the way he's handled that situation. You just wonder if there's some of that going on inside the building at times where it's like, it's not boom or boom. And I'm not suggesting it is or isn't. You just don't know that part of it. And I've been reminded multiple times in the last week how Coughlin was just boom or boom. It's this or that. And that doesn't always mean that you're a hard-ass, coach. It just means we know the expectations and we know the accountability and the results if it's not on this side of the line. Let's take time out. We come back. A little college football talk to put a bow on the show. Right after this, live from Best Bet St. Augustine. If you're looking for a place to eat today, don't forget Donato's Pizza, Donatos.com. Jack's Beach location, Mandarin location, 20% off your order. Just use the code BRENT20. Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%.
You know I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer.
You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com. And while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC. We are professional grade.
It's hard to put a price on comfort, especially when you use that comfort on a daily basis. But if we're going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
New to town or always been in town, everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza, some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're gonna love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations, Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Well, 7:45 kick between the Gators and UCF on Saturday night. Nobody stretches a graphic like Jason Hamby, I can just tell you that. It's like, we got to figure that thing out in there, man.
Well, I mean, when they posted vertical, I don't have any options.
I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't help you figure it out. I have no idea what it even means. But 7:45, did I say UCF's a 2.5-point favorite?
Yeah.
Wow. I'll tell you what, man. We did not talk. That was so disappointing, that loss by UCF. The way they lost to Colorado. I mean, were they looking ahead? I mean, do you think after that, like, I don't think they're going to beat the Gators now, honestly. Like, I thought maybe they would. I thought they're just maybe not as good as I thought they were. And Colorado just boat raced them.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I was wrong about them too. I thought they were going to be better than that, but I think it comes down to Malzahn being about the most confusing head football coach in college football. And that's not new to this year. He's done this a couple of times where he'll have a big-time win against a big-time opponent and get you ready and think you're going to go in and compete and just lay an egg. I mean, obviously the score, 27-point loss, it was a lot closer of a game kind of than that because, we went for it a lot down in the red area and came up short and fumbled in the red zone and all that. But shoot, man. I don't know who I'm going to pick to win this football game Saturday in Swamp.
Yeah, I wonder a little bit about them and Colorado's matchup, right? You can beat up Colorado physically, and obviously UCF isn't fully there from a physical standpoint. I mean, they've been more of a speed kind of team anyway. And I just wonder if that shows up a little bit more. Like that was my only explanation for it because, like skill-wise and speed-wise, they're going to be able to match up. But I don't know if maybe the trenches are a problem in Colorado or the trenches a problem at UCF as well. And is that why Colorado was able to do what they did? Because most teams can just kind of run it down Colorado's throat. What did UCF ran for, like 125 yards or something?
When we ran for 350 in the first 4 games. Like, it was just unexcusable.
Yeah. So, pretty interesting.
20.
All right. Well, we got We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Stadium Pulse, by the way, tomorrow at 9 a.m. with Jason Hamby and Nick. And then we've got our show. We'll be live at the UNF Swim Meet tomorrow. It'll be a different one. It'll be kind of a lot of fun to be on campus. And then Friday Night Zone Blitz tomorrow. Jaguars All Access tonight. Christian Kirk, String Sports Brewery. We'll see you there. Thanks, everybody, for